This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Gohei hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
You know, I want it to be said that the commander and I, right up to showtime, we have conversations. And you just said something to me that teased me up. And it's so true. So we're going to have Bob Nightingale on today, our buddy Bob Nightingale from the USA Today at 2:30.
Sorry, I need to update 2:45. He has to go back 15.
All right, so who do we got today?
Kylie McDaniel, who's at the MLB Draft Combine.
ESPN.
ESPN at 1:30. We're going to have Mark Sheldon, who covers the Cincinnati Reds for MLB.com. 11 in a row now for the Reds, as they're red hot in the NL Central.
Do you want me to lead you off today with the nugget of nuggets?
Is it about the Reds?
It's about the Reds. I'm going to lead you off. They played super early today, so I got to go.
9:35 Pacific.
The Reds look to win 11 in a row for the first time since when? And they did it. So they've won today. They've won 11 in a row since the first time since when? By the way,
did it happen this century?
I have my Aloha Spirit today.
Is that from? Did you buy that in Hawaii?
I didn't buy it in Hawaii. This was a friend. A friend always, the ABC stores there. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No.
You've never been to Hawaii?
No.
They have these ABC stores. They're like a little store that has everything in it. And they have all the cheap Hawaiian crap, right? My buddy always buys me this stuff. And I used to give it away on my show on 95.7 The Game. I used to go, I have this ancient mug that I had to go into the mountains of the rainforest where you can only, it's an ABC mug. But yes, we have the Aloha Spirit today as hula girls on my coffee mug today. Mahalo, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for the Hawaiian shirt you got me as well. When my wife saw it, she goes, "That's a nice shirt." I said, "Yeah, I think I should have been more clear. I love the shirt, but I should have said to you, I want a silk Hawaiian shirt." Though.
Yeah. Well, those are over $200, so you weren't getting that. You got a welcome. What is that? I got you at least said Maui.
Yeah, it says Maui on it. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, where's your Raise the Jolly Roger shirt I got from Pittsburgh?
I have it. I love it. I can't wait. But they're not a sponsor. Link Soul is a sponsor. By the way, the Link Soul stuff for summertime in Hawaii, whether it's the shirts, they got bathing suits, shorts, guys, gals. You want to up your wardrobe? Link Soul. Trust me. Right now they got great deals going on. Go to linksoul.com. Last time the Reds won 11 in a row.
Was it this century?
Yes.
2010.
Oh, no, not this century. No.
1976. Further back? Wow. So not the big.
They had a 12-game winning streak back in 1957.
Remember it well.
Not Big Red Machine. By the way, I am the 1956 Rookie of the Year. And I was on a tear as a 21-year-old at that time. We are bringing you knowledge today. Reds knowledge.
That's a red one.
I'm a red rookie, reigning Rookie of the Year. And I'm red hot during that time in 1957. Well, I'm carrying the Cincinnati Reds.
A lot of the guys I know played after that, like Bench and Perez and all those. So it's going to be none of those.
Way after that.
Yeah, so it's none of those guys. I have no idea. Who was it?
Frank Robinson.
Oh.
21-year-old, the Hall of Famer, Frank Robinson. He's Oakland. Frank Robinson. Was he born in Oakland? I know he grew up in Oakland. Was he born in Oakland? Frank Robinson?
Let's double check. He was born in Texas,
Oof.
but he went to McClymonds High School in
Yeah.
Oakland.
So I knew he grew up in Oakland. Wasn't sure if he was born in Oakland, but
Played-
Oakland's own.
Played college ball where?
I have no idea.
Xavier in Cincinnati.
Nice. 21-year-old Frank Robinson hit 453 with 16 RBIs during that time. By the way, any dingers today for the Reds?
Yes, I believe. I'm going to try to guess. Was it Jake Fraley, I think, hit one? The former Mariner.
Going into today, they had 17 home runs in their last 10 games.
Let me double check and see if they did get one.
De La Cruz do anything?
I know he got picked off on a double play on a fly ball to right field. I was watching the game for a bit, and it was a mistake. But
These young guys, does anybody teach base running anymore?
Fraley hit his 9th home run in the 8th inning, so that's what put the Reds ahead.
18 home runs in 11 games.
And
Eli De La Cruz, is it Ellie?
Yeah.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, that's an ESPN video.
Going into today, 8 hits in his last 18 at bats. Do you have any hits today?
De La Cruz, he was 2 for 4. He's now hitting 321 on the year.
So in the last 4 games, he's hitting over 500. They have now won 13 of 15 since he was promoted. 21, folks. They're promoting young guys.
I mean, I hate to bring it up because we hate talking about it, but the Giants have won 9. Was it 9 straight now? Because they won again last night.
You want me to go to Giants notes? I got a ton of Giants notes for you. For all you.
And that was since they brought up Luis Matos, the most recent rookie.
You're not going to like this for all of us Giant haters, but for all of us Giant haters, here we go. The San Francisco Giants have won 10 consecutive games in nearly 20 years.
Well, 03.
Who was the star during that time?
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds had a almost 1,600 OPS during that 10-game winning streak. Right now, the Giants, during their 9-game winning streak, they've scored 76 runs. That's 8.4 a game, slashing 300 average, and I'll just do the math for you, an 877 OPS. As a team, that's not like certain players. As a team, their OPS is 877. They just recorded their 2nd straight walk-off yesterday. The Giants, now this is something that should translate, but this is early in the year. But if you do this late in the year, really helps you in the postseason. The Giants lead Major League Baseball in runs scored from the 7th inning on. That's impressive, 137. And friend of the program, Jock Peterson, friend of mine after doing the Santa Clara County Baseball Banquet where he was honored. And I took care of him because he didn't want to talk. So I was like, all right, I'll take care of him. Jock's hitting 320 with a 1,149 OPS, 3 dingers, 7 RBIs during that time. But the most impressive thing, I mentioned it yesterday about the Giants run, if somehow you have a Giants buddy and they're talking about it, you can just go, hey, listen, I know exactly why you guys are doing well. The bullpen now 16-3 with a 1.66 ERA over the last 33 games. You got your bullpen hot. They're doing a bullpen game again today against the Padres and Yu Darvish. Bobby Melvin. Remember when I tell you, it happens all the time. We've watched it with Ace Baseball. You watch it with everybody else. When you do that, it's the awful flirting dance with 500, right? All of a sudden you feel, oh, this dance is getting good. Up, we're back to 500, and then all of a sudden the slow song hits. Oh. And you put your arms around your date and you're back to that, because that's what happens with the dance with 500. You do so much to get to 500 and then you fall back. And then you do so much to get there again and then you fall back. Padres got to 500, now back to 35 and 38. Mariners just did the same thing. See, where are the Mariners? Got to 500, immediately lost, back to 35 and 36. All right, Bob Melvin's club, for the amount of money, we talk about it a lot, for the amount of money to be 35 and 38, and Bob Melvin's team is 8.5 games back. Arizona's
hot.
Dodgers pitching stinks for the first time like ever. We'll talk to Bob Nightingale about that. The Giants are in 2nd place right now, 2.5 games back. So that is very interesting.
Arizona up 2-1 over Milwaukee as we speak and Gallon's on the mound.
I forget, it's Wednesday, so we got a bunch of day baseball going on.
Yeah, we already had some games played. We can go through that real quick. Toronto beat Miami 6-3. Blue Jays now 41-35. Your guy Matt Chapman hit a home run in that game. We mentioned the Reds won their 11 straight. The Pirates have lost 9 in a row as they fall to the Cubs 8-3. Detroit beats Kansas City 9-4.
And Cincinnati's good for baseball. But getting back to how I started this thing, as they always say, get the car back on the road. There are problems in this game with certain teams. And we're going to talk to Bob Nightingale as he's hearing guys in Chicago want the hell out. And I'm not talking about the Northsiders. I'm talking about the Southsiders.
Ooh.
White Sox players are like, so, and the reason why this is important is they do have players. They've got bullpen guys. They've got bats.
They got starting pitchers.
Now, Rick Hahn's been the GM, and then what's his name? Kenny Williams, the Stanford product, another Oakland guy. He's been the president. What's his title been for all these years? He was the GM when they won the World Series.
Yes. Let's look up his official.
I'm going to say executive vice president of baseball operations, president of.
It looks like he's the current executive vice president of the.
What does that mean?
What
is that seriously? What is executive vice president? Why are you just not a vice president?
I'm going to go to their official website and see what it says.
I'm going to look that up. What is
it on here?
Stupid one.
Executive vice president Ken Williams. It doesn't even say of what. It just says, like, hold on, Rick Hahn, senior vice president.
Senior vice president? What is an executive VP? An executive EP, or you could call it an EVP, is a corporate professional who typically reports to the president of the company. The executive vice president oversees and provides guidance to other vice presidents in the organization and performs the duty of the president if they're away or unable to perform. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So, like, if I'm the big dog, you're like my right-hand man, and if something happens to me, you're able to step in and take over. And yet, even though we have other people who are high up, I'm the big dog, you're the right-hand man, and then you're still above all of them, even though they're vice presidents. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We learn something every day. Some of you might be saying, well, you're baseball idiots, and you should know that. And I would not disagree with you. We are not corporate America guys. We wear golf shirts and talk baseball every day. It is what it is.
Thank you, Linksol.
So, thank you, Linksol. The reason why I brought this up is that there obviously is issues in Boston. Heimblum's been a disaster. And Alex Cora, quietly has really soared up the ranks as wins for a manager. It's really impressive where he's like starting to rank all time in a very short amount of time, with also being fired for a scandal, being brought back. I mean, it's crazy. But right now, the Red Sox have won 6 in a row. They're 39-35, but they're 11 and a half games back. This is what pisses me off. This is what tees me up. Is when they go, well, they're in another division. You know, if they're in the Central.
I'm going to get the exact thing that we got in the notes today from that game.
Because right now, you got leading the Central under 500 is Minnesota, 36-38. You know, if Boston was in the Central, they would be leading. I can't stand when I hear that. That is the biggest loser mentality. Who said it? And if it's anybody with the Red Sox, I'm firing them right now.
Oh, no, it was just a note in here. It said, despite the Red Sox winning both games of the series, Boston remains in last place in the AL East, and the Twins still lead in the Central. And it's like,
I would fire the person who wrote that. Who cares? You're Boston. You're in the East. Unless you want to take the city of Boston and move to the Midwest, you're in the East. I don't want to hear anybody like if anybody has a beef, it would be teams that play football in the SEC in college football, right? You could be like, I'm Lane Kiffin, great Raider head coach Lane Kiffin.
Lane Train.
If you're at Ole Miss And you're like, well, if we were in the Big 12 or the Pac-10, yeah, you're right. If Ole Miss was in the Big 12 or the Pac-10, they're probably winning it.
Are there 10 teams in the Pac-12 now or Pac-10?
San Diego State's going to be supposedly trying to. Anyway, but yeah, he's got to go up against Nick Saban. He's got to go up against Kirby Smart. He's got to go up against Georgia, Alabama, LSU. The Lane Train.
Brian Kelly at LSU.
The Lane Train is in a stacked conference. So what? That's the conference you're in. I do not want to hear teams from the East complaining that they're in the East. I mean, stop it. Now, once again, that's a writer, I guess, who said that, so it kind of takes a little wind out of my sails. But if anybody from Boston pulls that crap,
don't worry, I'm sure they are.
You weren't complaining when you were winning it. When you won your 3 World Series recently, you didn't complain.
Good note about the Twins, though. On pace to go 79-83. No team has ever won a division with a record at or below 500 in the divisional era. The worst records by division winners were the 05 Padres, who were 82-80. And you remember the 1973 New York Mets who went to the World Series were 82-79.
Well, everybody talked about a great matchup against the A's. I hope they win under 500, and then I hope they go on a run. At least win a round.
Just don't play the Yankees in the first round because I can't beat them ever.
Well, the way it's trending, the Yankees are 10 games back right now.
Yeah, no Judge, no nothing.
So on that note, Boston, though, Chaim Bloom, disaster. He's now been here for years. Is this the 4th year, 5th year?
He took over because remember when did he trade Mookie to the Dodgers? So that was like 2020. So yeah, it's probably his 3rd or 4th year.
Mookie won the World Series with the Dodgers in 2020. It's 2023.
Mookie went to the home run derby. I saw today too.
Was that so? So did he get there in 18 or 19? When was it?
He might have left after the 19 season. I'll get the official. He's only 40 years old, and that's pretty still pretty young.
Yeah.
I'll get October 28th, 2019. He was named the chief baseball officer of the Boston Red Sox.
What a disaster he has been. Like, they have no identity. I mean, they what are they?
Well, they've been in the rumor mill lately about one particular middle infielder in the Bay Area that plays in Oakland.
You want to fire up the the PR machine. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know at 10 a.m. this morning, Boston time, we're calling a press conference. They've made the deal. The Boston Red Sox have acquired Aledmys Diaz from the Oakland. Can you imagine that? What? What?
I said to you right for the show, so I said, can you imagine if that was his big deadline move? He acquired Aledmys.
Diaz?
No slide on Aledmys, hitting 355 over his last 10. His batting average quietly soaring up for the A's.
Yeah, well, I'm on our front page, by the way. Our A's front page, and I said this last night because our buddy Martin. I mean, we got to sell. We got to sell what we got to sell, right? This is the product we got. We got to sell it. Kemp showing signs of turnaround in 5-game hit streak. And my whole point was, love Tony Kemp. Like I said, Tony Kemp is a phenomenal human being. Tony Kemp's the kind of guy you want to marry your daughter, right? I mean, that's the kind of person Tony Kemp is. But right now, at his age, where he is at, and we did the same thing with Jace Peterson in Pittsburgh. Oh, Jace is hot. You're like, guys, we're not that far away. I need some place for Nick Allen to play. I need a place for Jordan Diaz to play. I need a spot for Zach Geloff. These guys are coming. They've got to play. Or you're doing yourself no service. You're actually doing yourself a disservice if you don't bring these kids up and give them an opportunity just to play. Because you haven't with Nick Allen. You've played yo-yo with him. Because that's what we do. Because we're still going to act like, well, it's important that we have Seth Brown out there and Ramon Laureano, veteran guys. And okay, but you're 19-56. So if we are in the mode of play veteran guys, so hopefully we can flip them. If we're playing flip this house right now, okay, I get it. If we're playing flip this house, I get it. But at some point, I need spots for young guys to play. So, Tony Kemp's turning around for 5 games. I mean, he's still hitting what? $1.72.
I think that or 171. I think I have it on here. Kemp is hitting
172.
171. I thought. Either way,
Yeah, I got him. Well, I should I trust your notes or MLB.com?
I thought I got it from Martine's article. Either way,
I'm looking at today's lineup. They got him at 172.
Then yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing? Diaz is not in the lineup today.
He is not. Tyler Wade's playing short.
Yeah, that in 118.
Tony Kemp hitting 500 over his last 12 at bats. He's hitting 5 straight. I don't want to go there, but the team hasn't won a game in the 5. But
I mean, you're 19-56. What are we talking about, right?
Well, hey, positive. Letmus Diaz hitting well. Negative. I gave it to you last night when you asked. Brent Rooker over his last 32 games now hitting 178 with 43 strikeouts. That's not good. Jim Bowden did an article today for The Athletic and talked about like the top 100 guys that we dealt. It was three ace pitchers and 1 position player, and it was Brent Rooker. I didn't know Rooker's under control till 2027.
He's 28.
Yeah.
Why would you trade for him? I mean, everybody knows what's going on. If we know the numbers, they know the number. Who are the 3 pitchers?
It was Trevor May, Zach Jackson, who just got transferred to the 60-day injured list, so he's not. And then he had J.P. Sears in there, which was really interesting.
Why not Blackburn?
I know that's what I was looking for. And he had J.P. Sears. He said he's the only guy on the staff that has any respectable numbers. So it was something along those lines because of how well Sears has been lately in the 4.24 ERA.
Well, don't forget me. Dave Stewart said the other day with me on NBC that what he loves about Sears, Dave Stewart said, pitches with guts. And I mean, if I was a team that, like we were just talking about the Giants. Giants are going with a staff game today. If I needed a versatile pitcher with guts who can start, who can give me middle relief, he's not a late inning guy, but he's a front portion of the game guy, I guess we'd call him now. I'd take J.P. Sears on my team. There's no question about it. J.P. Sears is tough. He's given up a lot of home runs, but he's given you a lot of innings. And I just don't see us trading J.P. Sears.
Yeah, I don't either.
If you want to have any type of opportunity, I mean, Paul Blackburn makes sense because of his age and where he is. But right now, pitching's been fantastic. We've talked about it. The pitching the last 13 games, 14 games has been fantastic for the A's. Blackburn going today, you look at Blackburn, he's got a 3.48 ERA. I mean, he'd be the one I thought you could here, I'll give you the numbers. The A's have a 2.90 ERA over the last 13 games. They now have a 3.88 ERA in June, which is the 10th lowest in the majors. I mean, folks, you got to realize in May, the ERA was 5.54. In April, are you ready? Guess. April.
Had to be over 10.
It's overall staff.
8.83.
7.97.
Okay.
So it's a dramatic improvement. Scott Emerson, get him on the phone.
Well, yeah. So I've been doing last 14 because I did it with the start in Pittsburgh, and I know that the staff gave up some runs, but over the last 14, 307. That's the second best in the American League and third overall in baseball. Over the last 14, the team overall ERA is 307. 14 games. I know they're going from the started the winning streak. I started with this series in Pittsburgh. So it started that road when the team started playing better.
Well, doesn't 2.90
sound better? Yes.
I think we'll go with that. So pitching, I mean, if you're going to get rid of anybody, it would be Blackburn.
Yes. I mean, I was looking, J.P. Sears isn't a free.
I mean, you'd flip Kaprelian if you could, but I think that's not, there's no way.
JP's not eligible for arbitration until 2026. He's not a free agent until 2020, and that's 6 years. He'll be 33 when he's a free agent.
You're just talking about survival the next couple of years and kind of finding a hot streak with the young players. Sears needs to be here. And I'm actually, you know what, I'm quite happy with Kaprelian right now.
I think I broke down how well he's pitched.
Kaprelian has really started all right, he's finding himself, right? Like, we all need to find ourselves in life. Cody, you're still trying to find yourself in life.
I'm 34.
Yeah. So Kaprelian is a guy drafted, big-time arm, UCLA, first-round Yankees. You know, when he talks about going to the Yankees, there's some big-time names there. You know, when CC Sabathia takes you under his wing, that means something. But he's injured. And he's injured, and he's injured, and he's injured. Then he gets traded for Sonny Gray, and he continues to be injured. Then COVID hits. And then you're at the alternate site down at San Jose Muni here in our neck of the woods. And then you're getting your opportunity. And he started out, I thought, remember his first few starts, especially that one in Boston where he pitched through trouble and his dad's going nuts in the stands, and it was awesome. You know, you're like, hey, we got something here. But just not been able to stay healthy, not be able to go deep in games, as he holds the record for most starts, 6 innings or less as an Oakland Athletic. I don't know if that dates, if he holds also if you go back to Philadelphia, but consecutive starts of 6 innings or less, he owns it. So in spring training, we've talked about it before. In spring training, we had a real conversation with him. Gotten to know him over the years. We just had a real where I said to him, this is it, man. This is your year. This is the year you feel healthy, you feel good, because he told us he felt great at spring training. And, you know, he's corrected the issues with his body. He's ready to rock. And he came out and got hammered. Sent down, come back, hammered. Going to the bullpen, blah, blah. And his second time down there, he found something, and I don't think it's in his right arm. I think it's here. And I think it's here. Because if you want to just go by data, fastball isn't the same. Slider's been really good. But I think at some point, like J.P. Sears pitching on guts, there's no data for pitching on guts. There's no data for heart. There's no data for will. There's no data for fight. There's data on a lot of different things, but how the human being goes out there and performs and attacks and what he's thinking. There's no data for that. So how is James Kaprelian doing better throwing not as hard? How? How's that possible? The data would say he's in trouble, but no, he's figured out something. And if you watch him pitch lately, when he strikes guys out and he does the left turn and he's got that strut, he's feeling it. And he's striking guys out. He struck out Schwarber with like a 91 or 92 mile an hour fastball. And I was like, wow, because that's nothing to Schwarber. But there's something that he's doing that people are not seeing him. He's striking guys out. He's throwing strikes. So look at Waldachuk. Waldachuk is, I mean, you talk about all over the place. 1 minute he's in the bullpen, can't get anybody out. Next minute he's in the bullpen throwing 3 innings, closing a game out. I mean, yesterday the way he was going
was the opener.
inning and 2/3, the way he was throwing, I would have been cool if they just left him out there. Medina's a big-time arm. He is a big-time. He has got a gift from God, and he's that wiry, athletic delivery. Medina, I'm not looking at the numbers. I think Medina can be special. Mason Miller ever stays healthy, which will always be a question mark, but at least you've seen what he potentially can do. So just naming you those guys. Am I missing anybody? Sears, Kaprelian, Waldachuk, Medina, Miller. Who am I missing?
The only guys that we still have left that are young, Kyle Muller.
Kyle Muller, work in progress, big left-hander. There's potential.
The rest of the guys we haven't seen yet.
Tarnock.
Yeah.
Who else are we thinking about?
I mean, there's Cusick, there's Ginn.
Oh,
I'm talking about the guys we haven't seen yet.
Ginn's still hurt, right? Ginn's been hurt for years.
Yeah, I think, and Hoagland's finally back, I think.
That's the problem with hurt guys. They normally stay hurt guys. But that's where it's like Blackburn. If there's anybody, I'm surprised by Bowden. If there's anybody you're going to flip, I would think it'd be both. It would be
Paulie Blackburn.
Paulie Blackburn. When are we doing Kindly McDaniel?
He's supposed to be joining us shortly. He has the other two guests are going to be over the phone, but Kylie has the information for video. So
coming up next, we're heading to the Combine. Is there anything to sell from this thing? We'll talk about right here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend, and it is summertime. You want to look your best, and I can't tell you how excited I am. Commander Cody, we've got our new shipment from Link Soul, all the summer gear. So whether you're playing golf or you're going out for dinner, you're hanging out with your buddies, or you're going to the beach, go see our friends at linksoul.com. And right now they got a deal for 25% off. Check it out. You go to linksoul.com. Remember, in the big leagues, look good, play good.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Streaming from the town, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right, we got Kylie on from Arizona down there at the MLB Combine. I got to watch a little bit on TV. It's not as exciting as the NFL Combine, but you're there. I got to tell you, it was off the television. How is it down there?
It's going pretty well. I was actually just sitting a suite with Enrique Bradfield Jr. from Vanderbilt. That'll go in the top half of the first round. Jessica Mendoza who's here doing some of our interviews from the draft broadcast. Eric Longenhagen, Michael Baumann from Fangraphs are here. Some of the guys from Baseball America. There hasn't necessarily been a guy that was like a fifth-round prospect and became a first-round prospect. Generally, guys that will go in the top 50 picks are not participating on field here because they don't have much to gain. But there's a ton of guys that I thought would sign for $300K that I'm realizing are actually worth $700K. Or guys that I thought would go in the fifth round that now look like they'll go in like the third round. There's like a lot of, or like, really firming up a guy that looks like he might go in the second round. Now it looks like he definitely will. That's kind of like the tier at which the guys are participating. And it's not that different than the NFL Combine, where like the top quarterbacks don't really have a reason to throw. Yeah. A lot of the Wyatt Langford, Dylan Cruz, those kinds of guys who are obviously in Omaha right now, they don't need to have anything to prove. They've been playing on these fields for like 3 years with like TrackMan data and Hawkeye and everything. Like there's nothing to be gained from coming here, which is also an effect that happens in the NFL. So that's kind of the weakness that they're trying to work around. But there's a lot of really good players here, especially in that like $300K up to $1 million. There's a ton of guys in that tier here, so it makes it a lot easier to try to sort through them when I'm doing my rankings.
So we talked to David Forrest, our general manager, about the Combine, and he says the number one thing is to get that suite and be able to meet these guys and really talk to these guys, because that's something in the past, obviously football would do, the NBA would do, baseball didn't do. So would you see that as the number one strength of this Combine? Yeah, we get to see what these guys look like athletically, but it's the fact that you get a half hour with each of these guys in your own suite where you really get to know them.
Yes, I was told there's at least 10 GMs that have come through for these meetings because it's so useful. You don't have to fly guys out and have private workouts to then be able to talk to them. You can kind of run through a lot of them here. I think there's over 100 more players here this year than there were last year. I was just talking to some of the guys at MLB, and they said that they have been mindfully keeping track of how many interviews in a row the players are asked to do because there's a level of fatigue. You don't quite get the best version of themselves. So they've really tried to dial that in. It's been sort of like, it's like a 3-4 day experience where a lot of the kids are here for two or 3 days to try to spread everything out because there's so much demand to talk to them, and they don't want to get on a plane 30 times. It doesn't make sense logistically to do that. So a lot of it's happening here, and obviously ESPN, Fangraphs, Baseball America, a lot of the other publications are also getting access to the players and getting to learn a little bit more, because that used to be the weakness of what I do. Is I come from a scouting background with the team. I want to be able to sign off on a kid's makeup and say I really trust and believe in him the way a team does. And now we're getting a little more of an opportunity to do that. So I can kind of trust my rankings a little more than you could a couple years ago when I wasn't getting that kind of access.
So I think about your career. What was it? You were Yankees, Orioles, Braves. Who else were you?
And Pirates, yeah. Kudos
So
for getting 3 out of 4.
I was going to ask you about your Orioles, by the way. They're playing really good baseball. But from a standpoint, if you go back to your scouting days, how do you view the combine as a big positive?
Yeah, it is super useful, like I said, for the tons of guys to be able to talk to them, get a feel for them. Rather than 1 or 2 of your scouts, your area scout and your regional scout will get to know them well. You want your West Coast guy to meet some of the East Coast guys that you like in the 3rd or 4th round. That's not you don't usually have the bandwidth to do that as a scouting organization. There's also a handful of dudes, like there was a guy, Gavin Adams, I believe, at a Florida junior college that I knew threw really hard and was like a good athlete, had a good breaking ball, and then he came out and threw 97 to 99 for like 20 fastballs. And I'm like, all right, we got him. We have data from him at a big league field. Everyone got to see him. You get your high-speed video. You get to go talk to him. You can do the entire evaluation process from start to finish. Ideally, you want to see him pitch in a game 20 times, which is but you get to, if you see maybe some high school guy you haven't been named for a reason to do evaluation, you do for so many guys and like so many different.
Yeah. Let's just call him. Let's just call him. Because I
let me text him.
This is to me, this is a guy, if you read him on ESPN, he is somebody that's worked in front offices. Yankees, Orioles, he said Pirates, and I knew he was also with the Braves. So he's worked with some of the sharpest people in our business. And so that's why we've always loved having him on, talking about minor league systems and what's going on with scouting and draft and everything, because he's one of the few guys that was actually in the business that has now gone to the media side. And what I want to know is, what is the darling event? Because we know from Al Davis, the great the Hall of Famer Al Davis, the big thing, speed, baby. We want speed. The 40-yard dash is, the legendary Deion Sanders came out of the stands, got pissed. He was just there and watching how slow everybody was, and he took off the jewelry and ran whatever. It's like the 40-yard dash is the star event of the NFL Combine. And Kylie, are you there?
Yep. How do I sound now?
You sound great. You were going, and it was fabulous, but all of a sudden it just became crackly and we couldn't see you. You were talking about using, as a scout, now what you do, the benefits of the combine, watching these players. You're talking about a junior college kid out of Florida who really impressed.
Yeah, there's a kid named Gavin Adams. I knew the name. I knew he'd been throwing hard. There's a guy named Jake Madden that went in the 4th round last year to the Angels out of another junior college in Florida. Similar kind of player. And I know some teams were like on him. And the process of getting to talk to him, getting some data of him on a mound, getting 5 or 6 scouts, some guys that haven't seen him before that are from other areas or other regions of your staff, getting to do that complete evaluation, a watered down version of it. You want to have, 10, 12 looks in games and years of history and all that kind of stuff. But for a guy that hasn't been on data, or you haven't had a meeting with yet, or maybe was injured for part of the season, or is a cold weather high school player, for whatever reason, you haven't done the full eval yet, you can do a sped up version of it for literally hundreds of players here. And so that allows a lot of guys, like I said, in that he's going to get 250K in the 13th round to now get 500K in the 4th round. Like, you can make that jump, and like dozens of guys could conceivably make that jump all at the same event for a couple of days.
Well, I can tell a lot of the kids listening, there's a big difference between 250K and 500K.
Especially for like going somewhere for 3 days. Like, it's not like you have to go join a league and play for a month. Like, it's not that heavy of a lift.
Yeah, they put you in a sweet hotel in Arizona and you just made an extra 250 grand. I'd do that any day of the week.
And you're on TV. It's a free trip,
Yeah.
Subsidized by MLB because they want to turn this into a TV event and an event for clubs. And it's now an event. Like, I'm sitting ESPN has 2 suites here. Fangraphs has their own suite. Like, they're providing to try to make this more of an event, to try to incentivize everyone to come, essentially, because like I said, there's not incentives for guys in the top 50 picks to really be here. There's incentives for everyone else to be here. And so they want to try to build some momentum. And I think they're doing a good job building that momentum now that they've done that 3 or 4 years now.
All right, the number one thing, because what we really know is the NFL Combine, because it's become so big. And we see all the different skill drills that they do, but the big star at the Combine is running the 40. And now we've had for years the joke of Rich Eisen running the 40. So if the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine is the star, what is the star drill at this Combine that tells you the most that you need to know?
So they're basically every hour or two, there's a series, either a game or a series of guys throwing bullpens that, depending on the level of effort they want to put in, but they throw the metrics, the TrackMan metrics, on the board. So you'll see the velocity, the spin rate, vertical, horizontal movement, all that stuff on the board for every pitch. In the same way, when guys are taking BP, you'll see a guy hit a home run, and I'll be like, oh, okay, that's 55 grade power. Do it from my scouting point of view, and then I'll look at the monitor from the suite that I'm in, and it'll say 106 off the bat, 32-degree loft, and you can easily and objectively compare that to another guy, because a lot of times we'll see guys that we think have good power. They're not hitting it that hard. They're just hitting it at just the right angle often, which is another skill that's important. But you'd like to know how much sort of raw juice is in there. And so the ability to see, I would say, exit velo and velocity are probably the two big numbers, whether it's hitters or pitchers, where you can sort of check yourself in real time, which doesn't really exist at when you're at an LSU game. They don't throw the exit velo on the board immediately. Yeah. It was a little bit of a lag at least, and you're getting it immediately.
No, that is awesome. I mean, when you're from a scouting perspective and you're reporting back to a team, how tough is it when you have maybe 2, 3, or 4 guys? You maybe like all 4, but all 4 are very similar.
Yeah, that's where the information you can gather here ends up being a tiebreaker, because I have been in conversations where you're in the 12th round, you have $250K to give to one player, you have 4 college righties that are all the same, will sign, all that kind of thing. And if one of the guys, you're not sure about him as a person because you turned him in late, you don't have history with him as a human being. Is he going to reflect well at this level of prospect? This guy has to be a plus makeup guy or we don't want to sign him. That guy is the first guy that gets cut. And then the second guy is oh, well, only the area scout has seen him. That supervisor that covers the entire region, 4 or 5 area scouts, if he hasn't seen him, then that guy gets cut next. And then eventually you'll get to the R&D guy will be oh, well, we don't have any data on this guy. He didn't come to our private workout and they don't have a TrackMan unit at their field. Then that guy gets cut. And so you essentially, I've experienced this selling a house before. You want to have an answer for every objection. You don't want to give people a reason to not make an offer. You want to give them everything they can have. And I think the agents now fully understand this. And so that's why you're seeing the first combine, agents are why should I come? I can only lose money unless I'm a 10th, 15th rounder. And now they're hey, I'm a 4th rounder, but I might be a 3rd rounder. And just being willing to have a meeting, give the data, get on the field, be competitive, you can't really lose that much because you have an entire season of the evaluation getting you to where you are. One bad outing is not going to sink that whole thing, but one really good outing, giving more information, could rise you up the board.
Yeah, Kylie, I love your house. It's a beautiful house. I wish you had an extra bathroom. I like the front. I like the back, but you also got a problem with your roof. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, and if Brian Cashman talked to him for 30 minutes, all of a sudden that roof doesn't become a problem because we talked to the roof. We got to know the roof, and it turns out it's okay. We had some concerns, but those have dried up. We don't have those concerns anymore.
All right, so Este Uri Ruiz, our guy in the big leagues right now, our center fielder, is leading baseball in stolen bases. Speed is back in vogue, baby. We want speed. We want athleticism. Look at the Arizona Diamondbacks. They got a bunch of young athletic guys. It's working there. So what are the drills? What are they doing with these guys to show athleticism and speed? Is there a 100-yard dash or a 40-yard dash? What are we doing there?
So the typical sort of baseball measure for this is one of the first things I learned when I was scouting. Is there's 2 different ways to measure speed. There is running to first base, which obviously righty lefty have 2 different scales, and you can measure is it a good jump or a bad jump sort of visually and make adjustments. It's a little fraught with some subjective information, but you can understand how you can see it now with StatCast, obviously objectively that they'll measure it, but do it by hand. I was late, I was early, whatever. The other thing you do is when you're doing sort of a showcase style workout where it's, batting practice, infield, whatever, they run the 60-yard dash. And so there was also a number where basically 7.0 is an average time, and each 10th of a lower you go, so 6.9 would be a 55, one notch above average. and so on. And then 6'2", 6'3" is basically like a guy that's the NFL wide receiver. It's an 80 runner. So they'll be doing that, I believe, tomorrow, which I won't be here for that. But they'll be doing the 60, and they'll be doing a number of other sports science-based things like jumping on a force plate, putting a sensor on the bat knob and taking some swings, a bunch of advanced things that I would say the 10 to 12, quote, progressive, smartest teams tend to be really into that stuff because all 30 teams aren't on it yet, don't quite understand it yet. And I know of at least one team that they look at 1,000 frame per second video of the last thing a pitcher does before his front foot hits the ground, that little step over move. And they think that perfectly predicts future velocity better than present velocity.
Really?
So when they can get somebody and they'll put a force plate on the end of the mound and have them just do their delivery, kids don't even know that what they're measuring is how hard their foot hits the ground, essentially predicts future velocity better, because that is a proxy for sort of the twitch in your body, your athleticism, your explosion in your hips. All of that sort of builds into that same thing. And places like Tread and Driveline have been measuring stuff like this with the markerless motion capture, things like that. That's sort of the cutting edge, and MLB has been doing versions of this for teams that is data they all get to share for the last couple of years.
I've been saying this for the longest time just because I know about it, because my brother has been a pro in golf, a teaching pro. He's played professionally. My brother started testing on TrackMan in the early 90s at Titleist out at Carlsbad in California. So it's baseball has been so far behind golf. What you're talking about, the fast twitch, you're talking about being able to use the ground as leverage. It's amazing, Kylie, all the stuff that we have now done in the last few years, they've been doing in golf since the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Now, if you were to imagine the histories of these two sports, Bryson DeChambeau and Josh Donaldson are essentially the same human being. They just play two different sports.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. And that just led me to a lot of different things. I mean, I got to ask you the question about the owners' meetings, where I know in football, they want to keep everybody the same. They want everybody using the same technology. They want everybody having the same amount of everything. They want all 32 teams to compete the same way. Baseball, it's a wild, wild west with your analytics department. We know there's a lot of teams out there that pay for data. Pay for all their data, if not some of their data. Baseball wants to rein that in a lot like football has done. Do you like that, or do you hate it?
I am, I think, the strongest proponent for the, manifest destiny capitalism of American life, where if I think I'm better than you, I want to be allowed to press that advantage as hard as I can, spend as much money to press that advantage as far as it can go. So the idea of we want to make everyone as equal as possible as a league and as an underperforming owner or executive or scout, I love that idea, because you're basically subsidizing all the smart team stuff, giving it to me for free. And all the smart teams are continuing to try to look for places where they can stand out. I have actually one example for you. When I worked for the Braves, I was doing a hybrid role of both scouting and front office stuff. And what was happening is if a high school team played a game in a big league stadium, which you'll see a lot of times, the state championships, things like that will happen in big league stadiums, that data would go to all 30 teams, because the big league stadiums had TrackMan units and Hawkeye that were owned by MLB. So essentially all 30 teams own, in Truist Field, when we worked there, all 30 teams would get that data. If they were to play the state championship game in the Braves AAA stadium, which at that point did not have Hawkeye, it was a Braves owned TrackMan unit. We owned the data. And I would then email the Texas Rangers guy that does the same thing I do, and I would trade for a college tournament worth of data that happened at their AA stadium at the beginning of the year, because Duke and Oregon State and Southern Miss all played it. We wanted data on some of their players, and they wanted to know about the Georgia State Championships played at our AAA stadium. That now has been outlawed, and all of that stuff gets shared between the teams because the owners didn't like the asymmetry of the data and having to do the trading, much less other situations where you actually pay for data out of pocket, which they definitely don't want to be doing if they don't have to.
So what you're saying is, in baseball, you don't like socialism, you like capitalism.
Yes, I'd like to think that's a broadly popular agenda for me to have as running for president of all of baseball.
Okay, hey, and some of us may vote for you, I'll tell you that. Looking at the College World Series, I know a lot of these guys, the high round picks that are already there, some guys have already been knocked out. But how much stock do you put in to the College World Series, the regionals, the super regionals, when picking a guy?
It is a very nice to have thing of a guy that you feel good about. Let's say like Wake Forest third baseman Brock Wilken. I liked him in high school, loved him as a freshman at Wake Forest when he proved that he was better than I thought he was out of high school. Liked him last year as a guy hitting a bunch of home runs. And then this year, I think scouts, I wouldn't say soured, but they went from like, oh, this guy's going to go 10 to 20 overall in the draft to like maybe more like late first round to compensation round. Like he just sort of moved down one tier basically. And then late down the stretch and all this postseason stuff, he's been going bananas. And I think has now worked his way back up to around, 15 to 20 overall in the draft. He is benefiting by everyone seeing him do the thing they know he can do a little more often with the highest stakes against the best players while everyone's watching. I don't think he's fundamentally a different player than he was a month ago, but he's being treated like he's a little bit different. You'd like to have that when your GM, your owner, your president, whichever tier of baseball ops isn't really watching the players, and then late they come into the room and have a couple thoughts. You want that guy to be performing so you don't have to explain why you like the guy. You want them to understand why you like the guy. It makes it easier for you to then take an unpopular guy, maybe a 5'8" right-handed pitcher later in the draft, because all the guys you took earlier, you didn't have to spend any political capital on those guys.
I got just two more here, and one is about the A's picking number 6. A lot of people like him taking this Kyle Teal kid, catcher out of Virginia. The only thing is, to us non-scout people, we're like, man, all we do is draft catchers. We've acquired catchers. Last time I checked, you can only play one catcher at a time. What do you like for the A's at number 6? And would that be crazy to go with another catcher?
So there's two different scenarios. This draft, it's not a great year to be picking 6 because it's seen as a 5-player draft. And so I would say it's an 80% chance those 5 players go in the first 5 picks, and then the A's get to pick the first player from the second cut. If one of those 5 players gets through, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how much they want, just take them. It's easy. If that happens, like I said, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 shots that one of those guys gets through, no problem, you take that guy. Now the situation we're talking about is the more likely one where all 5 of those guys are off and you get to pick from everybody else. I think given the situation, college hitter is kind of what the board is giving you. I think that also probably makes sense for the A's to try to be building up to be good as soon as possible. All things considered, they'd like a college guy. They'd like the safety of a position player, and that's what you have. So I think Jacob Gonzalez, shortstop at Ole Miss, has a chance to be a solid average, above average, left-hand hitting shortstop with a nice mix of he's at least average or better at every tool. I think he is maybe the most likely guy to go there. And Teal, I think, is the other guy that's gaining a bunch of momentum. To the point where he actually might sneak into the top 5. That would be great news because then that would push one of those top 5 talents down to Oakland. But Teal is a guy that's an above average defender, long history. I liked him in high school, and he's made some adjustments. I don't love all the adjustments he's made to his swing, but his performance has gotten better. So you can't argue too much with it. But the idea would be solid average offensive contributor at catcher, and then above average defender, good athlete, will age well. You can't play 2 catchers at the same time, but your job here is to get a player that will be good. Think of it like a stock that's going up. And if it turns out the stock goes up and him and Shea Langoliers' stock both go up at the same time, either you're going to keep them both fresh and rotate them between catcher and DH and first base, or you're going to trade one of them. That's not a problem. You got to pick the right guy, pick the stock that's going up. That's what Oakland needs.
All right, let's end on this. When you start thinking about you worked for the Orioles, you look at the success, they're off to their best start since 1997. You look at the Arizona Diamondbacks right now are leading the National League West. The A's, however you look at our situation, the way it's trending is that a new ballpark will open up in 2028. So that gives you ample time to kind of remake, reset, and prepare for this date. Who right now would you say in baseball is the model for rebuilding, starting from scratch, and building something that can win in the next few years?
So the easy one, like the one Steve Cohen said when he bought the Mets, is the Dodgers, that they are sort of the gold standard team that is doing essentially everything at a top 10 level, if not top 5, from player development to scouting to big leagues to analytics to understanding numbers, but also doing some gut feel stuff, some coaching stuff, just putting all that stuff together. I would say that's probably not realistic given the market size. They can do some things that most other teams can't do. And so if you step outside of the sort of Yankees and Dodgers doing things well and effectively at that very top of the payroll level, you then take a step down in terms of payroll, but still have the same level of efficiency, if not more. You have Tampa Bay Rays, Baltimore Orioles. I think getting a mix of those two things, which Tampa Bay is seemingly top 10 at everything without going whole hog into analytics and kind of losing the forest for the trees, like a lot of teams have done. They have mixed all these things really well. Their efficiency is essentially off the charts, but they are competitive in the playoff race every year for like the last couple decades with all the same guys in the front office that have now spread out all around baseball. And I would say Baltimore is doing a savvier version of what Jeff Luna did in Houston with like a little more humanity mixed in, because I think that was the weakness of that Jeff Luna approach, where their strength is they have a very specific point of view of what kind of guys they want to take in the draft, primarily up the middle hitters with power. That's like the thing they look for until that is gone, and then they'll look for other stuff. And typically they get 3 or 4 rounds worth of that up the middle guys with power. And they have proven with Gunnar Henderson and some other guys that they know how to make that stock go up, how to pick that guy, shore up whatever the weakness is, and make the most of the strength. They are really good at that. So having a specific point of view of the thing you're good at, whether it's in player development or scouting, and getting the other department on board to then push that advantage as much as you can, and then hopefully get the level of efficiency that Tampa Bay has had. You don't have to go hire guys from those front offices to do it, but I think there is a way to sort of copy some of the things that they're doing well. And I think a lot of teams are trying to copy both Tampa Bay and Baltimore right now.
So what you're saying is you need to treat the humans with a little bit of respect and dignity, is what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. It turns out that's good business and also good human business.
Hey, I got to tell you, there's not many guys that go from the front office scouting into the media and are great at it. You are fabulous, my friend. We love having you on. Keep doing a great job, and let's talk after the draft.
Yep, and since it'll be after the draft, look for us on ESPN. We'll be doing the first 2 rounds on TV.
Beautiful.
So I'll be yapping like this about every pick.
Well, find us a good pick at 6, would you?
I'd love to get you one of those top 5 guys. I'll see what I can do. I've been talking to some agents here. Maybe I'll pull some strings.
That's great. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Be well.
All right, have a good one.
Kylie McDaniel from ESPN, who is a former front office guy turned media guy. Really good stuff. Did you hear that, Cody? It's the old expression. By the way, the expression I couldn't think of yesterday, a wolf in sheep's clothing. If you remember the conversations yesterday.
Yes.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. He used, you can't see the forest through the trees.
So, yeah, you always use that. So
yes, I love that one, because that is where people who just go, I have data, and this data says exactly what we need to do with every situation, and I can't look anywhere beyond this data. And this is all I'm going to do, and this is all, and you're like, dude, you got to use everything. You just can't use numbers. You use a lot of numbers, yes, but if I just look at the data, and you're not going to be as successful. You're just not. And it's funny, like you hear about Dusty Baker basically keeps analytics people in Houston at arm's length. But it's fine. It works great, right? But you have to have the data. You have to. But you also have to have, when we're talking about Houston, we're talking about compassion, showing some dignity and respect to people. That's about their employees. That's not about the players. I mean, you learn about how bad the environment. Can you imagine working in HR for the Astros during that time? I mean, that was a lawsuit nightmare everywhere you looked.
Yeah.
People could have been suing them. That is a PR, HR nightmare. So what are we doing? We're showing a little more respect for people. We're still going with a highly analytical, but yet we understand we got to take care of these players as humans. The good blend right now is the Baltimore Orioles. And by the way, they're off their best start since 1997. And that was when they won 98 games. It was the first of not one, but 2 straight AL East titles. Remember when the Orioles used to be good? That's what they're trending to be.
With Buck Showalter. They actually already played today. I think they ended up losing to Tampa.
All right, coming up next, hottest team, or maybe the most fun team, if not the hottest team, is the Cincinnati Reds. We got to talk about the Natty next right here on A's Cast Live.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations. Like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
It's summertime, and I can guarantee you probably need to redo your wardrobe. You want to look good, and you want to feel comfortable. This is Chris Townsend, and you got to go check out my friends at Link Soul. They've got all the finest fabrics. You're going to love the shirts, the polos, the shorts, you name it. Redo your look for summertime. Go to linksoul.com right now, and you can get an offer for 20% off. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer, like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
And the underdog Oakland Athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-FOR-ME or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Serrata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
A's fans need Friday night plans? Well, we got you covered. Get 4 tickets and parking for any Friday night game starting at just $49 with the Friday 4-pack presented by Chevrolet. Save big and enjoy great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more this 2023 season.
He drills one to right, way back, and no doubt, and that quickly the A's have taken the lead. Second deck.
Friday night tickets are available at athletics.com/value. That's athletics.com/value.
See the best fireworks in the Bay Area on Friday, June 30th, after the A's take on the Chicago White Sox. Enjoy the best view as you head down to the field for this one-of-a-kind hip-hop fireworks experience presented by Lagunitas Brewing Company. Tickets are available now at athletics.com/tickets.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, the Cincinnati Reds have already won today. The Reds have won 11 in a row. And by the way, how did Abbott do today? The starting Andrew Abbott.
I think he gave up 3 runs. That's like the first 3 runs he's given up, I think, of his career, right?
17 2/3 scoreless innings. I'll give you $1,000 if you know who, as a starter, had the longest scoreless inning streak in baseball history.
Oh, I think I'd say for the Reds. For the Reds, it has happened since like the 1890s or something. Longest scoreless streak to start a career. Wasn't Brad Ziegler, was it? Didn't Ziegler have a lot?
John Hiller.
Oh, what was his?
26 innings.
It's pretty good.
You remember John Hiller from 1967?
Yeah, no, I can't say I do.
I mean, they got magical stuff going on. They're in first place. And we remember, and, you know, it wasn't that long ago that we saw them in Oakland. You're like, hey, man, they got something brewing here. We were talking to the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, about it. And now you look up and you go, Cincinnati Reds right now got a 1.5 game lead where we are here midday on Wednesday. And it's exciting stuff. And you kind of say for the A's, you know, look how young they're going. You got Joey Votto back, but they're going young, and young's exciting. Do we have Mark? Mark, welcome to A's Cast Live. How are you?
Doing okay. How are you?
Well, I'm jealous. You're covering a first-place team that's won 11 in a row. It's got to be a little bit more fun when you're writing and talking about this team.
Certainly gotten a lot more interesting just because the way they win, the way they play, and how they go about it, it's certainly, after last season when they lost 100 games, it just, no one could have expected this. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt about it. We've had years in Oakland where, everybody predicted last place. The next, you win the division. But I think about Cincinnati, where we were talking about how they haven't won 12 games in a row since 1957, and Frank Robinson was 21 years old. That's a long time, but that kind of tells you how good the streak is right now.
It is, and another member of that team was David Bell's grandfather, Gus Bell, who was an all-star outfielder for that team. So that really, he knows about that team just because he's always listened to stories from his grandfather. They were very close when David was growing up. So he's familiar with that team. He's familiar with the team's history, certainly growing up in Cincinnati. And streaks like this certainly don't come around the corner very often. Obviously, Oakland had a movie made about one of their streaks, but
exactly,
the Reds have not gotten to 20 before. But 12 is that's what the 57 team won, and that's what the Reds will be aiming for next against Atlanta on Friday.
When you have somebody that's making a little bit of dough, and there's somebody that, has some street cred in the game, and they're struggling, and you just go, you know what? We're going to make the move because we're going to continue to go young. When someone like Will Myers is taken out of that clubhouse, what does it do for it from a positive standpoint, saying, hey, love the guy, we know he's a great guy, but we got to go younger, and we got to stay aggressive with the youth movement?
Yeah, I wrote about that today. It speaks volumes to the clubhouse. You talk to a player or two, and it's like they know they're young, they know they're hungry, and they know that they have to earn their way onto the roster. And they feel like with the way they've played, a lot of these players have done that. And the Reds of the past might have said, well, he's making $7.5 million. We're gonna ride him until we can't any longer, or because he's a veteran and he's got a track record, we're not gonna do that to a veteran. But they said, you know what? The best 26 players are already on this team, and Will Myers has been injured the last few weeks. He's not one of our better 26, so they moved on from him, and that does speak a lot to the clubhouse. It gives them a lot of confidence, and I think that shows the way they've been playing.
Well, I got to tell you, De La Cruz, he just looks amazing. 6'5". The first time I saw him quit pitch and we saw the highlight, I was like, how tall is this kid? Because he's a beast. 6'5", runs like the wind. Obviously, since he's come up, the team was won 13 to 15. You look at the numbers, but you've gotten to watch him every day. Is there a comp? Do you have anything that you've watched you say, this is what he looks like? Because the physical stature, the all-around talent, this kid just looks like off the charts.
There really isn't. He gets compared to O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates. That's a more, peer-to-peer kind of thing. Sometimes Eric Davis comes to mind just because Eric Davis had a lot of the different tools and was a physical specimen, but he certainly wasn't 6'5". And then the power, you look at the exit velocity, and only really Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton match what De La Cruz does. So there's not really a one-to-one comparison, but he's got all 5 tools, and he does a lot of things really well and very naturally. It's funny because when they signed him out of the Dominican, he was a scrawny, barely 6 foot tall guy, and they got him for $65,000. And he had some tools, but they weren't sure exactly what they had. And as he's grown and developed, he's become this once in a generation prospect for the organization.
Yeah, it's one of those type deals where you think about all the different great Reds players through all these years. You mentioned Eric the Red was so incredible. Barry Larkin, a Hall of Famer. We go back to the Big Red Machine. Joe Morgan, Oakland's own. You throw bench, Hall of Famers. Even throw in the great Pete Rose, who's from Cincinnati. Going back to Frank Robinson. Cincinnati, through all these years, been one of the great baseball organizations that has had a lot of great players. But, this might be the next coming. If you start talking about all those great players, this kid at 21 years old, what's in front of him is just unreal.
Yeah, he's still learning the league. He's still prone to striking out, but at the same time, he's not getting embarrassed at the plate. Even when he strikes out, he has a pretty good at bat. I think the only time I saw him go down on 3 pitches was against Clayton Kershaw, so that's not exactly embarrassing. He's one of the best of all time. So he can do a lot of things to you in any way. Like he can hit a ball 100 miles an hour, with exit velocity for an infield single, or he can hit a blooper like he did today for a double, and he's just got that much speed. Is 0 to his sprint speed is like over 30 feet per second. He's an elite runner, and he's able to do a lot of things in the field. He can throw 100 miles an hour if he needs to. So it's just, there's a lot of different things he can do to beat you.
And I know the GM has recently talked about potentially being buyers at the deadline.
Yes.
What would that be like for Cincinnati to be buyers now?
Well, they definitely have some needs, and that's another kind of getting back to what you asked about Will Myers. That would also send a good message to the clubhouse. They want to try to take advantage of this opportunity. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year, but they're obviously in win mode now, and they want to keep the young guys together, but they also want to add some pieces. And there's no place that needs more help right now than their starting rotation. Their big three starters are all on the injured list. Ashcraft will be back this weekend, but Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo might be out for a little while, and they could use some help. They have one of the worst rotations in the league, and they're still doing this, which has been a testament to their offense and to their bullpen. So they're going to be looking for some rotation help. They're going to be looking for some extra bullpen help, and that will send another message to the clubhouse that this is a team that has the front office that has confidence in the team.
Yeah, I know that was something that when the Reds were in town and we talked to Jeff Brantley about it, he was talking about he wasn't the old Cowboy wasn't thrilled with how deep the starters go in games back then.
Yeah, they still aren't. There's a lot of Andrew Abbott gave them some little bit of length today, 6 innings, but they definitely have to find more innings than that. They really only average about 4 1/3 to 5 innings per start, all up and down the rotation. So they really are kind of patching it together right now. Abbott's been a great addition, but they need some of the guys that they already have to go a little longer and save the bullpen. The bullpen has been well taxed, and eventually they do wear out. It does happen, and that's what they want to avoid.
You know, Joey Votto's been a player that's seen a lot of rebuilding. So, you wonder, how will the veteran guy fit with the young guys? I love Joey Votto. I think he's got one of the best personalities that we have in baseball. Obviously, I'm not in the clubhouse. From afar, I would think he'd fit in great with the kids. But what are your thoughts about Joey Votto with this team?
Yeah, there were a lot of questions about that as he was getting closer and closer to being activated. But really, Votto says it himself, is that he's just trying to fit in. He kind of feels like he's entering a team that's already there, or that he just got called up, or almost like he got traded to the Reds, the team he's been with his entire career.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to fit in. He knows that if he doesn't play well, that he probably won't play. And he certainly wants to measure up to the rest of the guys. He's been a very good clubhouse presence, even during his injury. He's really transformed himself into more of a leader and more outgoing. He was very kind of insular, and didn't really, lead with his voice. He led by example, and now he's really just come out of his shell more, and he's more than happy to help a guy if he approaches him. And I think that really does help, and he's really definitely bought into what they're doing right now. He's energized by it, and certainly at 39 years old and in the final year of his contract with the Reds, he's got an option for next year, but this might be his best chance to get back to the playoffs and maybe do something. The Reds have not won a playoff series since they've had Joey Votto.
Let's end on this, as this might be it for Joey Votto. If it is it, and he retires Cincinnati Red, obviously probably a statue guy and everything, do you think he's a baseball Hall of Famer?
Definitely, yes. I think if he didn't play another game after today, he's still a Hall of Famer. You just look at what he's done in his era. There's not a lot of guys that have done what he's done, and there's certainly not a lot of guys that have done what he's done in this era after the age of 35. He was nearly an MVP in 2017. He had 36 homers in 21. Certainly he had a really bad year last year. No parsing that. The shoulder was barking. He had surgery. He's going to have a lot to come back from this season. The odds are not in his favor, but he had a great first game, and we'll see what happens. But yes, I think he's a Hall of Fame.
I got to tell you, that in-game interview he did, the Field of Dreams game, was one of the best I've ever seen. And you're like, why didn't he do this his entire career? He's got one of the great personalities that we have in baseball.
Yeah, and when he was injured last season and missed the last 2 months of the season, he was a regular on Reds TV and Reds on radio. So he's definitely got some broadcast chops, which was interesting to see, and he seems like he's pretty natural at it.
We appreciate the time. It's fun in Cincinnati right now. Having won 11 in a row in first place. So we'll see. Somebody's got to win the NL Central. We say about the AL Central also. So this is going to be a fun summer in Cincinnati. And enjoy the ride, and let's talk later in the season.
All right. Take care, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark Sheldon from MLB.com. That's what we do here at A's Cast. We cover the entire league. We cover everybody. That's what we do. And that's one of the best stories. I'm glad it was last night, the Commander Cody, great job. Last night I texted you saying, hey, let's get somebody from Cincinnati because we just saw them, or it seems like we just saw them. When were they here?
End of April.
And you saw they had a bunch of young pieces, and you're wondering, okay, but they dumped Will Myers. See you later, buddy. You're hitting a buck, whatever he was hitting. You're out of here. And Joey Votto knows if he's going to stay here, because they could easily walk away from him for the rest of the year, he's got to fit in.
Yeah, and I mean Votto came back at a home run in his first game back, and he's
2 for 3, I think. Yeah.
He's a good leader to have for them, and it's crazy to hear about him doing all this stuff now. So he's great on social media. If you want to follow someone on Instagram or Twitter, I don't use TikToks, but everyone says he's great on TikTok. And his personality as a broadcaster is crazy because I believe earlier in his career, he was like a guy that was like kind of like Greinke. He had the social anxiety and the depression, I believe, like he was battling with that. I think that's what it was. I remember he wasn't as outgoing as he is now, which is great to see that he's got past that and he's becoming a great face for baseball, especially with the way he's been able to do a lot of interviews and handle himself, even when he was injured.
I mean, that interview they did at the Field of Dreams game, who did they play? Was it the Cubs they played?
Yes.
And he's at first base, and he was on. It was a long inning, so he was on for a long time. And he was going through his career, and he was going through how he reads pitchers and how he aligns himself defensively, and he was cracking jokes. It was like, wow, where's this guy been for the last 15, 16 years? How many years he plays? He up to almost 20 now?
Yeah, he's been in the league. Well, remember, he was the year that he got voted in. He was like the last guy to get voted into the All-Star game. It was the year he won the MVP. It was at 2010 when the Reds kind of came back around. His first year in the big leagues was 2007.
Woo! He's been around a long time.
Yeah, he won the MVP in 2010. He got voted into the All-Star game as like the last guy. That year, he hit 324, 37 home runs, 113 runs driven in, had a 1,024 OPS.
Joey Votto, he's had an outstanding career. I think he will get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The debate will be for some of us, did he walk his way into the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Warzone was a 65. That's a really good discussion, our starting point.
He's not at that set. We have determined here, you hit 70.
You're in.
And there are guys that have hit 70 that are not in. That's a joke. That's a joke. You hit 70, you should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so he's at 64.6.
Like Lou Whitaker's at 70.
Yes, he should
second
be
base, longtime Tiger. He should be in.
2,095 hits, 343 home runs. He's still like 40 behind Johnny Bench's record, Cincinnati Reds record. Career 297 hitter.
He's real light on the RBIs for a first baseman.
Yeah.
Light. Oh, by the way, I know you've said here with your analytics buddies that RBIs don't matter. Albert Pujols, all of his great statistics, said he's most proud of his RBIs.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can go tell. Well, when we see Albert at spring training, you can walk up and go, Mr. Pujols, how you doing? Cody Elias. They call me Commander Cody. I think you're full of S-bombs. And we'll see how that conversation goes.
I've never been a guy on record that says I hate RBIs. I'm not. I know, like Brian Kenny.
I saw you wilt in front of Dave Stewart about wins recently.
No, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with a guy that won a lot of games.
Wilted. I set it up. I wish I had cameras. So to take you behind the scenes, when you're doing A's TV, you get away from all the Giants people. That just I can't sit around listening to these people. I can't. So maybe I shouldn't say all this, but it's just I can't be around them. I'm cordial. I like them all. I just can't listen to them. I can't listen to them. Oh my God.
Especially now they won 10 straight.
Oh yeah. Luckily, I haven't been around that much for this winning streak. Hopefully they lose today before I got to go in tomorrow.
Oh boy, that'd be brutal if not.
So we go up to a conference room and watch the game, whether it's Dave or Bip Roberts or Shooty Babbitt. We go into the conference room. I'm sure Brody goes up with them most nights. And you just sit up there and we talk. And I kind of goaded Cody into having to address Dave Stewart about wins for starting pitchers. I put Cody in a very, very, very unwinnable situation. And knowing that Dave Stewart was just going to crap on him And it was a lot of fun for me. It's like I started. I had like lighter fluid, and so I set it all up too. If you remember, I set this thing up, and you could just see Stu's eyes. So I'm doing the lighter fluid, and all I had to go was poof, and let it go, and let Dave Stewart oh, you think we win? You think we go to the playoffs if I don't win all those games? Oh yeah, it was great. And Cody just sat there and went.
We had some good. We actually had some good conversations that we talked about.
You immediately went to pitchers thrown in games. You wanted no part. You wanted no part of wins for starting pitchers, and you wilted. And then you went, well, hey Stu, you threw 159 pitches in a game before.
No. He came close. It was like 150.
Whatever. You switched it real quick, and then Stu started. Did I really?
And then we went through Stu's like entire game log of his career. Don't forget the is Zach Greinke a Hall of Famer debate.
You immediately went Peyton Manning, Omaha. You knew you were in trouble. You saw the blitz coming, and you went Omaha. You got out of that. You got out of that play quick.
It was an unwinnable situation.
I was like the 85 Bears, and I was bringing everybody. And you knew you were in trouble, that you had to audible out of that play quickly.
There's, like I said, a lot of things conversation. I mean, the Greinke.
Where was he on Greinke as a Hall of Famer?
I think because he asked me about Bob Welch, and he said if he's not in, he didn't think Greinke was going.
Yeah, because he and Bobby Welch, I have come to find out, Bobby Welch and Stu were tight. That group was tight. Suppose. Just gonna let you in. Jose is not. I love Jose Canseco because when I was growing up, I loved Jose Canseco. How do you not love Jose Canseco?
He had an interesting tweet the other day about aliens and Bigfoot or something.
And happy Father's Day to everybody but A-Rod.
Yeah, those are always funny.
I like Jose. And I've done stuff with Jose, so I can actually say I've hung out a little bit with Jose. I like Jose. Jose, guys from that era aren't big fans of Jose. They're just not. But Bobby Welch, Cy Young Award winner, 27-game winner, if I'm correct, the year he won the Cy. And remember, Bob Welch did some historic stuff with the Dodgers early in his career in the postseason. Remember striking, you probably don't remember, you weren't even alive, but when he struck out Reggie Jackson in the World Series, Dodgers, Yankees, that was a big deal. So Bob Welch is not in the Hall of Fame, but then you went, well, if you compare the wars, Greinke's well over 70.
Strikeouts.
Bob Welch.
Was like, yeah, I think Welch is.
What is the war now for Greinke's having a rough year here? Might be time to hang him up. But
he can't hang him up yet. He needs 60 more strikeouts to get to 3,000.
I want to say Greinke's like at 72 WAR, something like that.
77.2.
77. Come on, he's all of it.
Yeah, 224 wins, 2,940 strikeouts.
That's higher than Musina, right? What was Musina?
Musina was 82.8.
Okay, I stand corrected. He's got a way to go to catch old Mike Musina.
The only thing he has over him is more strikeouts than a Cy Young. Because Musina never won the Cy Young.
Musina's got 82.2.
Yeah,
82.8.
Yeah,
That's probably one of the higher pitcher wars in the history of baseball.
Yeah, and Musina was a pretty good pitcher as an Oriole and a Yankee. Bob Welch had 211 wins and a 43.7 WAR. Only 1,969. Wasn't a big strikeout guy.
Yeah, I don't think you can do old Bobby Welch with Zach Greinke.
Now, if you want to compare postseason numbers and stuff, sure, I'm sure they're better than Greinke. Greinke hasn't really pitched a lot in the postseason. So,
what was Welch
in the postseason?
Because he started pitching in the postseason like when he was 19 or whatever it was.
And his career in the postseason, he was.
Go up. Yeah, he pitched at 21 years old for the Dodgers in the postseason.
He was 3-3 career in the postseason with a 4.56 ERA, but he pitched in 17 games. Greinke, to pull that one up. Both I have it open. Votto was having panic attacks and diagnosed as depressed way back early in his career. So that's what was going to. Greinke in his postseason career, how many games has he thrown? Greinke's only pitched in. Actually, Greinke's pitched in 22 games. 4-6 with a 4.14 ERA.
Oh!
I forgot all the Astro years.
Oh! Well, he had Dodger years, too.
Yeah, Dodgers, Arizona, and Milwaukee. Remember when he was a Brewer?
No.
That's how they got Lorenzo Cain and all those guys in Milwaukee, or in Kansas City.
Where to where? He went from
Kansas City to Milwaukee.
God, I don't really
and I think he went from Milwaukee to L.A.
because he would
Anaheim.
He would have been a free Angel.
He was an Angel, yeah.
When was he an Angel?
Zach Greinke was a Los Angeles Angel. 2012. He went from Brewers to the Angels, and then he went to the Dodgers as a free agent.
He didn't pitch that many games for the Angels.
He only pitched in 13.
Okay, I was about to say, I really don't know. 2012 was the A's year, baby. Tracking down the Texas Rangers.
He was a Brewer then.
He got traded from the Angels to the Brewers?
No, other way around. Brewers to the Angels.
And then Angels to the Dodgers?
I think he joined wasn't he a free agent with the Dodgers? I don't think did he get traded there?
It was a free he had to. If he only pitched 13 games, he'd get traded.
Well, he could have been in free agent year and then signed with the Dodgers. Where's his career transactions?
If you were wondering about Zach Greinke.
Signed as a free agent, but with the Dodgers.
Speaking of Angels Dodgers, what were you supposed to ask me?
Ask you about Ohtani.
Have you heard of Shohei Ohtani?
He's that guy for the Angels. The other guy plays behind Mike Trout, right?
We've got the old freeway series going on in Los Angeles right now. Well, actually in Anaheim. Shohei Ohtani will be on the mound tonight. And it looks like they're going to go with the opener for the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani is the major league leader in wins above replacement. We were just talking about that. WAR at 4.7. He leads Major League Baseball with 24 home runs, 175 total bases, and 58 RBIs. Now he'll move into the top 3 in strikeouts on the mound tonight, potentially. He's 6th in MLB with 105 this year. Did you know Shohei Ohtani has never faced the Dodgers?
I saw that note in there. That's very interesting.
Has never faced. And what makes it so is that everybody believes that Shohei Ohtani will be a Dodger after this year.
I believe
he's pitching against his next team tonight. He's showcasing what he is tonight.
Yeah, when the Athletic polled, like I said, they pulled players on a bunch of different stuff, and they asked about where Ohtani will be next year, and 56% said the Dodgers. Makes sense.
Now, I don't know what his numbers. I don't have it in front of me. His numbers of what they have been in the past, but from a pitching standpoint, because to me, if we look at a lot of numbers from the past, I just want to do this one real quick. If we look at a lot of numbers from the past, he was pretty sporadic, right? There was injuries, there was all this kind of stuff. But a number that I saw today that I went, wow, what was the one thing that, and I know one guy, and I loved him, so I know this. Roger Clemens, after his team had lost, was amazing. And that's what really, when you talk about someone like Clemens, Maddox, 300-game winners, Randy Johnson, Tom Glavine, all the recent guys that we saw win 300 games, is a lot of these guys had unbelievable records to stop losing streaks. It's unbelievable. Like, if you'd lost 2 in a row, 3 in a row, don't worry about it. You got Maddox on the mound. If you've lost 2 in a row, 3 in a row, don't worry. Clemens is on the mound. You're winning. It's win day. You're in it. Whatever issue you got, it ends today because that SOB's on the mound and he's coming at you, right? Verlander's been that guy. God, he pitched well again last night. Kershaw. You think of the great pitchers. I don't think that with Greinke. Greinke might go into the Scott Rowland category. When Greinke gets his plaque in Cooperstown, I may pass right by it to go to Tom Seaver. No offense.
I think you're saying you're going to go right past it, go to Scott Rowland.
I may go right past Greinke to go look at some of the greats of all time. Maybe a Walter Johnson. Maybe throw a bone out to our friends in San Francisco, a Juan Marichal. I might just go right past and not even read Greinke's plaque. Yeah, put Greinke and Rowland in the same room together. That is not really fair to me to say, but I will say it. There's certain guys, I'm not reading their plaque. I'm going,
I watched him play.
Great.
No, I'm saying you could say I watched him play. I already know how.
I already know whatever they're writing on there. I'm not that impressed by anyway. Ohtani, after an Angels loss this year, 9 starts, this is what an ace does. 5-1 with a 2.55 ERA. That's Angels have lost. And by the way, as much as I don't like him, Phil Nevin, 41-34 right now, the Halos. Halos are hanging in there. Halos usually have wilted by this point.
Still early.
Oh, don't be hating on the Halos right now.
Why? My wife's an Angels fan. I'm allowed to hate on them.
They're in second place.
For now.
Well, they can only do now. We're in now. I can't tell you what's going to happen July 15th. I can only live today.
Where are they putting the parade out when they reach the postseason?
It's going to go down Catella, and it's going to go right around Disney Way. They're going to go back around Disney, and I don't even know what those back streets are. I just know Catella and Disney Way, and that's what the parade route. How much you want to bet if they had another parade, Disney would be involved?
Oh, for sure.
I don't know how that worked because I know there's Catella and there's Disney Way.
Isn't one of them Gene Autry Way too?
Gene Autry Way is on the other side of 5 where the Big A is.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
So I the only reason why I know Catella as a kid growing up in Southern California, coming up from San Diego to Disneyland, before they redid all the construction for I-5, you used to just get off on Catella to get to Disneyland. You got off Catella and made a left and you went back under I-5, and that's how you got to Disneyland. Now you have a Disneyland way that you have a entrance that takes you right off the freeway and it brings you down to Disneyland. But Catella's still there. So Catella, Disney Way, circle back around Disneyland somehow to Gene Autry Way would be how they would have their parade route. I am not scheduling the parade route for the Angels just yet.
Okay.
I'm saying you got to give them their due at 41-34.
They're winning right now, and the first thing my wife said is...
And here's your guy, as you said yesterday, Anthony Rendon, left wrist, placed on the IL. They're doing all this without Rendon.
That's the first thing my wife said. She goes, "We're playing well," and then she sends me. She goes, "Look, Rendon's hurt again." Here, I have the. There's a number about Rendon.
Well, you haven't finished. I mean,
Rendon's played a possible 143 games of a potential 398 since the start of 2021.
It's arguably the biggest bust contract in the history of baseball.
I don't disagree on that one. We're getting close.
Strasburg was injury.
That's a re-sign too.
This is just
not good.
Not good. 5-1 with a 2.55 ERA after an Angels loss. You got to give him credit. How about this? Ohtani is actually a better hitter on the day he pitches. This is why I like this guy, because he's a gamer. I used to not like Ohtani. I like Ohtani now. When Ohtani was like, hey, I want to play for Team Japan. I don't care how you use me. I'm in. When we got a bunch of greedy-ass mercenaries in our game who all they care about is their contract and their money, Shohei Ohtani says, I don't care about money. When you think about it, he came over here for not a lot of money because he just wanted to compete. The guy wants to play. He's a badass. And I've turned on Shohei Ohtani. I love the guy now. Because he's not about money. He's going to break the bank, but money comes with success. That's his deal. His whole thing wasn't, how do I grab as much money as I possibly can? That's not how he has gone about it. He has gone about going, I want to play. And I want to prove to all these guys I'm the best in the world. And he always said, I can play more. He always wanted to play more. Your guy, Joe Madden, wouldn't allow him to do it. He has always wanted to play more. How about this? On days he pitches in 14 starts, he's hitting 396. Do you want to go to the A's lineup?
I don't have to. There's nobody in a lot of hitting anywhere near
Okay,
that.
we got nobody who plays both, and we don't have one guy hitting 300 in our lineup.
Well, do we have a guy hitting 260?
Yes.
Rooker?
Ruiz.
Ruiz. Is he at 260 exactly?
264. He's hitting 396 with an OPS 1,182. 3 dingers, 10 RBIs as a hitter-pitcher on that day. On the day he pitches, he's almost hitting 400. That's what little leaguers do. That's what ballers do. This guy is awesome. And not at the standpoint like, we've never seen this before. We're going to start seeing this. He's opened the door. Like even now we're starting to hear, hey, hear this guy at Vanderbilt, or hey, this guy at Wake Forest.
Florida.
I'm
Jack
just-
Tawney.
I mentioned
Jack
something.
Tawney's his name.
They're going to be out. Mark Kotze was that guy. They never gave him that opportunity. There's going to be more of these guys, but doesn't mean they're going to have the fight he has. What makes Shohei Ohtani special is the fact that he wants the fight. He's like a prize fighter that won't duck anybody. Heavyweight champ, bring it on. Muhammad Ali, you want me to fight Frazier? You want me to who do you want me to fight? I'll fight him out. I'll knock Foreman's ass out. Who do you want to go? I'll fight anybody. Ken Norton, not the linebacker. Ken Norton Sr. Ali fought everybody. That's what the heavyweight champ does. A real heavyweight champion will fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's Shohei Ohtani. I now like Shohei Ohtani, but not because of everybody else. I've never seen this before. Just because the guy wants to play and be the best. It's truly an athlete who wants to be the greatest. Doesn't shy away from it. He's not afraid of it. He didn't have to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Are you kidding me? And how many guys are like, I don't want to get hurt. He's already had Tommy John. He wants to play. Hey, you only live once, man. You live once in your life. Why not put it all on the line? And that's what Shohei Ohtani does. Now, I've said this before too, and I'll back this up, that the players of yesteryear, they didn't have Tommy John surgery. So when you got hurt, your career was done. One of the reasons that made that he's able to do what he does is because of modern technology. But the fact that Shohei Ohtani wants to be the best, and it's not about money. Hey, everybody else talks about money. You know who you've never heard talk about money?
Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani is, I don't know if you heard, do you got anything for me that says what he's demanding, what he wants? All he wants to do is win. Because that's what people should understand in an industry with a lot of money. You do good work, the money will follow. If you're an actor or an actress, if you're a good actor or actress and you win the Academy Award, money's going to follow, right? You'll get paid. You put up numbers, you will get paid. It's like the total opposite of Carlos Correa. Shohei Ohtani is the opposite of Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is money, money, money. Show me the money. Johnny Manziel. He's just money, money. How am I getting paid? How am I getting paid? If I do this, I get paid. Has Shohei Ohtani ever talked about, well, if I do this, I'm going to get paid? If I do that, I'll get paid? Carlos Correa did a whole thing on TBS about it. You found out what Carlos Correa was about. He was about getting paid.
I mean, he's the only player in the history of baseball to sign two $300 million contracts in the same offseason.
He signed with 12% of baseball in one offseason. Isn't that what it was? 12 or 13%? Yeah. I mean, you have to admire that. Shohei Ohtani, I've never heard once even. Now, he doesn't talk a lot. He's never once addressed money. In a sport that you got a bunch of greedy mercenaries, he's not that guy.
So you've come around on Ohtani. You're a Votto guy now. You're on the Greinke train.
I have to be on the Greinke. Greinke's earned it. I can't. I don't love Greinke.
All right, we got to find someone else we need to that everyone likes that you don't like.
I wait a minute. I don't think Votto is the darling you're claiming he is. I don't think I'm out on an island when I go. Guy played his entire career basically at the Great American Ballpark. Bandbox.
I've never said I think he's a.
I mean, guy barely hits. I mean, you're not talking about 500. He didn't even come close to 400 home runs in that ballpark. He barely has 1,000 RBIs.
Yeah, I don't think
because he walked a lot.
I don't think he's a first.
Does it matter how you get on base? Well, Albert Pujols said the number one thing about his career that he respects the most. Not what he respects. I got to look at the article, but he says, what he's most proud of is his RBIs. Hank Aaron was most proud of his RBIs. Are you going to say Hank Aaron's full of it?
No, those are number 1, 2 in baseball history, correct? If I'm not mistaken, without doing a Google search.
Just wanted to throw it out there. I mean, unless you want to dog Pujols again.
I'm a Pujols guy.
Well, he's most proud of his RBIs.
I don't hate RBIs though. I'm not in that camp with BK.
You can't kind of be analytics, and you're either in that group or you're not.
I just don't think I don't think RBIs.
That's my problem. I go back and forth.
I don't think RBIs are overvalued like some people do.
Got to score to win. That's still you got to score to win.
Yeah,
right?
you have to score runs to win games. Last time I checked, and
that it would be interesting to have Brian Kinney on because analytics are kind of outdated. Really, all of our data that we talk about now is stuff that we're getting through science. Radar is science.
Yeah,
we're getting stuff Hawkeye, TrackMan, Rapsodos, all the StatCast. All the StatCast information is coming from radar. It's not coming from guys going, well, if I take your on-base percentage times by this, divided by that, by this, and then I'm going to run it by Bill James, and then those days are over. All the data we're getting is from StatCast.
And the numbers that you're hearing BK and others use on, for example, MLB Now, RA9. Another thing we brought up this too, about all the new modern analytics. RA9 and what's your what's the other one? It was like RAA something. There's so many XWOBA, like there's so many.
Yeah, and you talk to our coaches who are very into the data. They have no idea what that means because all the stuff they're getting is from StatCast and what they're getting from they use high definition cameras. Like Kylie McDaniel said, the plate that they're using where the way the pitcher's left for a right-hander, the way the left foot comes down is an indicator with pressure and how they land of whether their body is going to be able to torque and throw harder. That has no mathematical equation. Bill James. Like that kind of stuff's out.
What was the spin rate though?
Spin rate is tracked by
I know.
StatCast.
Yeah.
So all the
it's not an equation.
All the different, batting average balls put in play. That's just a math equation. Those things are out.
There was
Are we
one,
calling Bob Nightingale?
a couple minutes.
What time?
2:45.
2:45. All right, coming up next, Bob Nightingale did a full article on stuff going on in baseball, USA Today. Issues on the south side of Chicago, issues in Beantown. For the first time in a long time, issues with Dodgers pitching. We'll address it all next right here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend, and it is summertime. You want to look your best, and I can't tell you how excited I am. Commander Cody, we've got our new shipment from Link Soul, all the summer gear. So whether you're playing golf or you're going out for dinner, you're hanging out with your buddies, or you're going to the beach, go see our friends at linksoul.com. And right now they got a deal for 25% off. Check it out. You go to linksoul.com. Remember, in the big leagues, look good, play good.
Unbeatable mileage from Chevron with Techron unlocks all kinds of unbeatable trips. Like to family dinner the next town over, or to a family wedding the next town over, or even to a family reunion over the river and through the woods at Grandma's house. Any drive is worth it to see Grandma, especially when you can stop along the way for unbeatable cleaning power from Chevron with Techron. Your engine will be thanking you for making the trip. Download the Chevron app now and find unbeatable mileage near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Hey, Billy, this deck is great for getting everyone together. Thanks. We're really enjoying the outdoor space, especially on a day like today. What's the material? Humboldt Redwood from Ashby Lumber. They gave us a great deal, provided us with a quick quote, and we couldn't be happier. We even found a great contractor through their online contractor directory.
Don't miss a day outdoors. Visit Ashby Lumber in Berkeley or Concord to see our stock of naturally strong, naturally beautiful Humboldt Redwood. Find out more at ashbylumber.com for all your building needs. Ashby Lumber.
We're almost halfway through baseball season, and there's no better time to build your collection of Topps trading cards. Topps packs feature everything from top stars, rookies, game-used memorabilia, and autographs from players around the league, as well as special inserts and surprises. Visit your local hobby shop, retailers, and Topps.com to collect the newest product of the season, Topps Series 2 Baseball. Follow @Topps on social media to join the conversation and start sharing your collection today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Thanks to the Xfinity 10G network, my little brother's friends won't leave our house. When I was their age, internet with basically no interruptions was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Now through September 21st, new customers can get 1.2 gig internet plus unlimited data for just $25 a month for 2 years with no annual contract. When you add Xfinity Mobile, go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires PayPal bill and an auto-pay stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity internet. After promo, regular supply to internet service and Wi-Fi equipment. Actual speeds vary.
Calling all kids. It's Kids Cheer Free all summer long. Bring your kids ages 14 and under to the ballpark on Sunday home games for free. After cheering on your green and gold, race around the bases with Stomper on the same field that your favorite A's players do. Get your tickets now at athletics.com/kidsfree. That's athletics.com/kidsfree.
We are right in the middle of major season on the PGA Tour. Hey, those guys are good, but it won't stop you from having a great golf outing at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Just a short drive south of fast-paced Silicon Valley, the 27 holes of championship golf will give you and your friends a full day of enjoyment. Plus, a great 19th hole experience awaits at the grill. Not only golf, but Cinnabar Hills is ready to provide this experience for any event. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com, cinnabarhills.com.
Streaming from the A's Road studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
I'll call him in a second here.
You just want me to groove to the tunes?
I figured you like this bed. Told you I updated it. Some of our music, some of our stuff was outdated, so I wanted to give us some new beats, as the kids say. I'm sure there's more words for it. I don't know. I'm not into the lingo of what the younger generation uses now. That's not really my thing anymore. Even though I'm the resident young. Oh, I guess not. You're more into things than I am because you have teenage daughters. So you know more about it than I do.
I got Swifties in my house, Dua Lipa, you name it. I'm up on it.
Oh, so seriously, right?
Used to be, they'll be going. Used to be Disney princesses, but things change. Ariana Grande, you name it. I'm in the teenage girl world. There's no question about it. Do we have my friend Bob Nightingale on the line? Bob, how are you?
I'm here, buddy.
I got to tell you, when you put out an article, I love when you do one of those articles where you go all the way around the league like you just did, because there's so many things going on and it kind of gives you an idea of what's happening in baseball. The last one you did, USA Today, was fabulous.
Yeah, thanks so much, buddy. No, I appreciate it.
Obviously the owners meeting, what was before we get into A's stuff, what was the number one thing you took away from the owners meetings?
Maybe just the A's thing, and obviously there was no reason for the commissioner to say what he did. You don't rub it in their face. I think he takes that back. I think it was just it's like everybody's jumping on the hey, should the A's stay, and the reverse boycott thing. So I think kind of put his foot in his mouth a little bit. That's probably the biggest thing. I didn't think he would talk that long about the A's.
If I think about commissioners, Roger Goodell has done the same thing over the years. Some of these commissioners, as we know, they work for the owners, and that is their job. But they're not great public speakers compared to David Stern, who, God rest his soul, was an unbelievable commissioner, and he was fantastic with the NBA. But the thing about David Stern, that he was great with the media. So you could be a great commissioner and not be great with the media.
No, absolutely. I mean, with the Rob Manfred, I mean, he's making a ton of money for these owners.
Yeah.
With the uniform patches and everything they've got going on, moving the A's to Vegas, kind of, ramrodding that through. They love him because he makes a lot of money. The TV network, the TV things, adding Peacock and Apple and all that stuff. So you're absolutely right. Instead of, naming the commissioner, it should be really the owner's boss.
So the way, we'll just do one thing on the A's because we're staying away from all the stuff that's away from the field. We're concentrating on the field. But the big question will be in the next few weeks is, will the owners, 75% of them, vote yes for relocation? Covering the meetings, what did you come away with on that one?
No, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. I mean, I'd be shocked if it's not 100%. So I think they'll get 30 to 30 votes because that's what baseball wants. That's what Rob Manfred wants. It's not against the fans. It's just against, they spent 20 years of trying to get a new stadium, and the owners are tired of it. It's like, how many years we can keep giving money to the A's? They're no closer to getting a stadium now, than they were, 20 years ago. I think the San Francisco Giants should have let them move to San Jose. I think that was a big problem. I would love, if they don't have a place to stay after 2024, I think the Giants will let them share their complex. And, I'm sure they won't at Oracle Park, but they should. There was certainly plenty of room for two teams there. So, it's not the fans' fault, not MLB's fault. I just think, whatever the political part was, that was a problem. I mean, you got to play in a different ballpark. The Coliseum wasn't working. That thing got so run down, and players were complaining too. And the players union said, "Hey, how much longer are we going to stay at this place?"
Yeah, that's something that's that's been happening in baseball on a lot of different issues that you don't really hear much in the past, but players have been really speaking up, and the players union has been going to bat for them. But the one thing from your article that it wasn't a big part of the article, but it stands large to me because we talked about it with you, actually, if you remember back at the winter meetings in San Diego. It's like Boston is not acting like Boston. I mean, they've got all this money. They've got the highest ticket prices. They're the Boston Red Sox. Chaim Bloom has come in, and we've kind of joked he's run a big market club like the Rays. You're hearing that between Cora, Bloom, things are not so copacetic in Boston. What are you hearing with the Red Sox?
No, it's not like the Red Sox that we know them. They don't have the big names. They got, they're kind of fishing on the, fishing on the bottom of the barrel there as far as grabbing guys. You don't have to do that. You're the Red Sox, and they're acting like a small market team, almost the way Chaim Bloom was in Tampa. Saying that, I'm not saying it's Chaim Bloom's fault. It's the ownership's fault. They're the ones who can say, "Yeah, let's spend some more money here," and they're not doing it. So I blame the owner more than Chaim Bloom. But I mean, Cora, he was, he ended up being rehired by Bloom, but he wasn't the first choice. It was almost like, okay, we'll take him back. I think there was pressure to take him back. So I think he's used to having some more input here. Let's get things right. I don't think they're both going to be back in 2024. I really don't.
That's interesting because Cora has been really kind of going up there in the wins. He's getting up there in wins pretty fast. It's been impressive. If you had to bet which one of them doesn't return, which guy would you say?
I would say Bloom doesn't return, but if he does return, then I think Cora may ask out and say, you know what, let me go elsewhere. Let me be a free agent and join another team. So that's why I think. I just don't think that they're both back. And I think David Stearns, if he doesn't show up in the Mets, he's going to show up with the Boston Red Sox. But I think there's going to be a change somewhere there. I don't. Even the other day, I think Cora, said something about, "Hey, this is the roster I have. What are you expecting to do?" And a little bit of a slap at Bloom.
Well, speaking of wanting out, we've heard the rumblings. You had it in your article. the Chicago White Sox. Things are not good on the south side. I mean, all you got to do is look at their season, and the White Sox at 32-43, and a disappointment again. I mean, you got Kenny Williams has been there for years. Rick Hahn has been there for years. What is going on the south side? What's going on with the south side? And what do you do with all these players? Is it time to make trades?
It is time to make trades. I mean, you can't live on 2005 forever, and that's what they're doing. And I get so sick and tired of them, kind of ripping Trey La Russa. So okay, it's Tony's fault. Really? He's the only guy who's won division title, since 2005 or 2006, whatever it was. He should get a second plaque in the Hall of Fame for doing that. So yeah, at some point, those guys have to look at themselves in the mirror, saying, okay, you keep hiring different managers. You hired a first-year manager. They made a huge blunder by not hiring Bruce Bochy. I mean, Bochy's got the same team pretty much that everybody else had in Texas, particularly DeGrom, Harley pitching, and they're winning. So they should have hired, on Bochy, and they refused to even interview him. A huge mistake.
Well, and when you mention Bruce Bochy, and he's been good to us here on A's Cast Live in the past, and he's a great man. We don't like the Texas Rangers, as you know, but you have to be very happy for him because, Bochy didn't want to get out of baseball. He wasn't ready to retire, and he's showing you the kind of baseball guy that he is and the kind of leader that he is. And I know you're good friends with Bruce Bochy. Just how happy are you for him and at least a good start for the Texas Rangers?
Yeah, I think most of the baseball veterans are thrilled for Bruce Bochy. But you're absolutely right. It's not like he wanted to leave San Francisco. You saw the writing on the wall, like, okay, if I'm not wanted, I'm not going to stay here. It's a new regime here. It's not Brian Sabian. So no, he's such a great person. Forget the baseball part. Just such a great person that you're thrilled for him. Like a Dusty Baker type thing.
Yeah, and Dusty Baker, obviously, that was fantastic for him win the World Series last year, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They're dealing with loss of players. What's your take right now on the first half of the Houston Astros?
I'll tell you what, they've had so many injuries. It's unbelievable how many injuries they've had. So they're staying in the hunt. So bad for Dusty, missing a 3 pitch rotation. Missed Altuve for 2 months. Brentley still hasn't returned. Jordan Alvarez, the big stud. He's not coming back till the end of July. So, kudos to Dusty for keeping that team in the race like they are. But it's been tough sledding here.
And you mentioned too that the Los Angeles Dodgers, I hadn't thought about it, but man, the Dodgers pitching has pretty much always been good. I mean, that, before the juice ball and the juice players, Bob, back in the day, we used to talk about Dodger Stadium was a great pitcher's ballpark. Well, one of the reasons why is they've always had great pitching. Well, for the first time looking up here, and you see the Dodgers in third place right now, 4 games behind the Diamondbacks, they've got major problems with their pitching.
They really do. Urias is out for so long. I think they thought they'd be short. It's not. I mean, Kershaw is pitching like Kershaw.
Yeah.
He may be the all-star starter again. It's amazing what he's doing, keeping that team afloat. And, for a while, they're bringing him back. Is he retiring? That sort of thing. But, yeah, and the thing about the Dodgers is, they still got so many top prospects. They have when the kids from AA start the other night for them. But, scouts that go to the AA team and with the single A team a year ago say those 5 starters are all going to be frontline starters. It's amazing what they do developing players. It really is.
I mean, they are one of the model franchises. There's no question. I mean, it helps to have all that money, but what they've been able to do down there, and Andrew Friedman, and to continue to win and to continue to bring guys up it's so impressive. When you think of Bob Melvin and the San Diego Padres, they continue to be under 500. When you think of Buck Showalter and the New York Mets continue to be under 500, the financial commitments by these two franchises, obviously it's a major, major disappointment. What are you hearing about the Mets and what are you hearing about the Padres?
Well, I feel bad for Bob Melvin. It's just, the team he has is thrown out there, but just wasn't assembled good. It's so top heavy. When you got 11 All-Stars, and just drops off. And your top 4, top 5 hitters are, absolute studs. Then drops off. They don't have that depth. I know he's frustrated too. I think if the Padres don't make the playoffs, it'll be the biggest disappointment, the biggest underachieving team in baseball history. I really do. The Mets obviously have their payroll is the largest in baseball history, but I think the Padres will be a bigger disappointment.
Yeah, and I kind of worry because I know the relationship between A.J. Preller and Bob Melvin isn't great. I kind of worry about the future of Bob Melvin down there.
Well, I mean, he's such a great manager. He's doing what he has. I mean, it's a construction of the roster. So yeah, I hate to see this happening to him because I think he's got a chance to be in the Hall of Fame. If they he can get to a World Series, win a World Series one day, just a fabulous human being. But man, they're underachieving. There's no way in the world this team should be under 500. And if people are picking this team to win the World Series, they may make the playoffs.
Bob, we spend so much time, especially like down at the winter meetings, talking about money, talking about free agency, talking about money spent. And I know that's what our sport is built on. I think it's kind of tired because when you look up, all of a sudden I see Tampa in first place in the AL East. I see the Cincinnati Reds in first place in the NL Central. And I see the Arizona Diamondbacks in first place in the National League West. It just goes to show spending the most money and winning the winter meetings and spending the most in the winter doesn't mean anything. I mean, just talk about what we're seeing in Cincinnati and Tampa and Arizona. They're great stories for our game.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, how many times these teams win the winter and they're a bust in the summer, and now the Padres are doing that. And it's like, okay, everybody's saying, oh, look what they've done, spending money. They're going to the World Series, and absolute bust. I can't remember the last time now a team won the winter and still won the summer. It just doesn't happen. Kudos to of all those teams. Kudos to Tampa Bay Rays for doing it year after year after year in the AL East. It's one thing that, like the Reds be the NL Central. The Diamondbacks, they're playing well. I don't know how long they can sustain that, but for the Tampa Bay Rays to do that, I think they're the best team in baseball. Is mind-boggling. It just shows, they're outsmarting everybody.
And I got to throw in the Marlins. That's a great story. And also a classic. I mean, we grew up with, Bob, the Oriole way. The Orioles are one of the great franchises. They had great battles against the A's back in the day. And here they are in second place. They've actually done real well against Tampa. They're playing against them right now in a series. I just talk about the rebirth of the Baltimore Orioles.
It's so great to see. I mean, their general manager was a former assistant general manager of Houston, and they're taking that whole blueprint. Saying, okay, they must average like 110 losses a year for about 3 straight years there, and now they're winning. I think if anybody can topple Tampa for the AL East, I think they're the only team that's got a chance to do so. I think they're that good. But yeah, and I think they have the second smallest payroll in baseball. So they can make some moves to the deadline. They can certainly pick up some free agents. But, it was a painful process, but it's working out where, when you mentioned the White Sox, the window was open for about a year and a half. I think the Orioles window's been open for quite a while. And that's the way if you want to rebuild, that's the way to do it. Same with the Reds. I know they made the playoffs in 2020, the COVID year. But, man, what a quick rebuild they have.
All right, let's end on this. I want you to look into your crystal ball. There's a lot more buyers than sellers on the market. We got about a little over a month to go. Are you hearing anything, a big name that we're not thinking about that potentially could get moved at the deadline?
I'm not sure there's a name that we're not thinking about, but I think a lot of teams are looking at the Chicago Cubs, hoping they follow the race. Because he's got Marcus Stroman has an opt-out. Yeah, if they're on the race, you might as well move him, and he could be a difference maker. I think teams are rooting against the Chicago White Sox and St. Louis Cardinals. If you get a Jack Flaherty, a Lance Lynn in that bullpen, and Joe Kelly, Kendall Graveman, that'd be fabulous. And then, St. Louis, if you get a Montgomery there, a Jack Flaherty, a Jordan Hicks in the bullpen, and some of those guys. So I think if those teams are out of the race, it could be a spicy trade deadline. If those teams are still in the race, I think we could have the dullest trade deadline in a decade.
Could a guy like Paul Goldschmidt get moved?
No, I've seen rumors of that. I don't think there's any way in the world. Same there or not. Just, too big of names, too big of icons. It's like, no, I do not see that. I'd be absolutely shocked. Those guys. And they'd love to see Paul Goldschmidt go in the Hall of Fame wearing the Cardinal uniform. Same with Nolan Arenado. So, no, I think they're as safe as, like Ohtani is. You can't trade those guys. You really can't.
Well, still the best sports page there is, USA Today, and I still get Sports Weekly, so I get all my Bob Nightingale articles. I'm always supporting, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on the program, and we'll talk soon.
All right, look forward to it. Thanks so much, buddy.
Bob Nightingale from the USA Today. Yeah, I sent Cody the article, and it's an article that's got a ton of stuff in it. I mean, that's where I got the pool hole stuff. I love when he does those because not a lot of guys do that anymore. Bob is old school, and of course it ruffles feathers, and people don't like it, and they don't like certain things and opinions and things that are said and what he's hearing. But it's like a grab bag of topics that are going around in Major League Baseball. Peter Gammons was famous for it on Sundays. He did his notes around Major League Baseball. Everybody looked forward to it. And it was in the Sunday Boston Globe. And that's back in the day when we were all going to sportspages.com. Remember that website?
No, I don't.
God, you.
I'm
have
young.
you ever been in this business?
Well, the internet's always been around since I've been in the biz.
Sportspages.com. Let's see if it's still even around.
I don't even heard of it.
Yeah, it had all the different links to all the different. No, it's gone. So basically what it was, it's now sports books, programs. So back in the day, you would go to this website and it had every single newspaper around the country. It had by region. So you could see New York Times, New York Post, Boston Globe, and you'd click on it and it would go right to their sports pages. Well, back then you didn't have to pay to read what they were putting on their pages. So out here, it would be Chronicle, Merck, Oakland Tribune, CC Times, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. You could get all the Bay Area papers, and you'd click the link, and the link would go straight to their sports page. Jessica Kleinsmith says to me, "We'll talk Tony Kemp." I'm just getting and I'm gonna ruffle her feathers a little bit without coming back. But yeah, that's and Peter Gammons would do his Sunday notes, and it was gold. I'm telling you, Billy Bean used to read them. I can tell you, everybody in the game read them. So when you have an old school columnist do that, I love that because you go around the game. Because, yeah, we've been interested in Chaim Bloom. Like, how is it? This is not working. This is the Boston Red Sox, premier franchise in American sports. And you're running it like
the Rays,
the Kansas City Royals. Like, what are you doing? I mean, it's so pathetic now. You have people trying to defend it by going, well, if they played in the Central, well, you don't play in the Central. You're one of the beasts from the East. Act like it.
It's crazy because the Fenway Group that owns them, they also own the Pittsburgh Penguins. They own an international, I forget what soccer team they own. But they own a lot. They make money. Don't worry.
Do you know what the rumors is on that?
No.
The rumor is that they've turned into this conglomerate where they own all these teams so what happens is, folks, and this is I'm not breaking any news to you. But when you start dealing with ownership groups, when you start saying, okay, I heard a Oakland city council member bring up this point, you can research it. I'm just going to tell you, I heard it from his mouth when talking about the Warriors. how the Warriors didn't want anything to do with Oakland. It's just fact. They wanted nothing to do with Oakland. They were moving to San Francisco. They first tried at the one part on the water, on the wharf, where Larry Ellison couldn't make it work for the America's Cup, and then they chose the other spot where they are now. But they were not dealing with Oakland. And one of the Oakland City Council members said people need to realize that they have quite a few investors, the Warriors do, who are from where?
Southern California.
They got a lot of Southern California investors in their ownership group. And what happens is they don't care about certain things. Well, what about the city? And what about this? And what about that? And what about, why would Southern California people care about Oakland? I know Joe Lacob's name's been thrown out a lot lately, but the reality is Peter Goober and all of his guys are in Southern California. They care about money. So the reason why I bring that up is you now have, sports has become such big business that you were used to back in the day, one person owning the team and one person made all the decisions. Now you have a lot of groups who own teams. It's big business. And this guy's invested millions, and that guy's invested millions, and that guy's invested. You've got all these people who've invested who are part of this group. You'll have a managing general partner, a person that goes to the owners' meetings, a person that gets out in front, a Larry Bear type, right? You'll have that guy that'll be out there that represents the face of the ownership group, but you have a full-on group. You never hear, we talk about, people in the media talk about John Fisher never talks. Charles Johnson for the Giants never talks. I mean, there's a lot of owners that never talk. You have a managing general partner guy who usually is out in front, right? So reality is these investors basically who own these teams, would they like to win?
Yeah.
Sure. But what do they like more?
Money.
And when you're making money, you want your team to do everything they possibly can to win. You want everything. I mean, they should do everything they can. The ring, the parade, right? These guys who are the investors, who are underneath the Joe Lacobs of the world, they want money. And they like the international deals. They like the TV money. They like all the money that comes in from the merchandise. And this doesn't matter what sport. This is NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, NFL. We sell you wins and losses. That's what we sell you, right? That's what all of us do. That's how we promote to you, the fans. We don't go behind the scenes and talk about, well, who owns what team and what do they really care about? Well, the rumors are around the Boston Red Sox that they are this group that's printing money right now. And if the group's printing money, they don't care that they're in last place, but they're 39-35. What do you care? You invested millions. You're getting millions back. Corporate America. Corporate America, that's what they care about. Where's your stocks? Are you making money? Right? Shareholders, are you making money? That's what they care about. It's a tough conversation to have, but it is a reality. So the Boston Red Sox, as you said, they now own a lot of stuff. Remember, like when the Glazers own Manchester United and the Buccaneers, are you making money? Oh, you are? Well, they consider that a success. But you're a Boston fan. I'm a longtime Bostonian. It's all about this. And you're angry, but it's like you got these unknown investors who are making a ton of money going, I don't care. They're not living and dying with every pitch. And that's just modern day professional sports.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear. I can't wait. I wish someone would explain that to people in Pittsburgh when they talk about the Penguins. Because everyone's like, oh, we should win the cup every year. Well, they're making money.
They're making money. They're making money.
I think LeBron's part of that ownership group, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, who is the biggest flop great player turned I want to be part owner and be the face of the franchise? And it was a total flop because now he learned, this is harder than you think.
I mean, the guy that just sold his team, Michael Jordan?
Derek Jeter.
Oh, I was saying Jordan just sold this. He's trying to get out of being the owner of the Hornets.
But it's brilliant. Michael Jordan bought him for nothing, and he's going to sell him for over $2 billion.
I thought I heard 3.
Whatever
he bought him for like $275 million or something.
Jordan's made like almost $2 billion from Nike. This sale of this franchise will be over that.
Yeah.
Will be over that. He bought him for pennies on the dollar. It's a great example. Nobody criticized MJ because everybody loves MJ. MJ's like God, right? MJ can do no wrong. No matter what, MJ can do no wrong. Nobody has the guts to go out there and criticize him. He has been laughable as an owner.
How many playoff series did they win?
0.
They only made it like 3 times.
Laughable as an owner. Michael Jordan has literally, like, you could go, okay, let's really break down what makes a horrible owner. And for sports fans, that would be winning and losing. Michael Jordan is one of the worst professional sports owners of all time. Tragic mess. Who goes after him?
Who goes after him? Like attacks him?
Who goes out? Who's been going out? Who's been coming down?
Oh, no one.
MJ. Nobody. And now he's going to cash out. He's going to cash out. And you know what? I don't hate him for it. God bless you, MJ. MJ picked up a team for nothing, and then he's going to flip it for $3 billion. Good for him.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the fact that nobody has the guts to challenge him, good for him. I'm not hating on MJ. Go get him, MJ. Hey, remember when MJ was making all that money on shoes and people wanted him to be a political person? MJ has one of the greatest lines ever. Republicans buy shoes too.
Shoes are sneakers. I think it's sneakers.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But he stayed out. People tried to lure him in. Nope. He waited till he got his money. Later on, has donated money, has now come out and talked, but he was smart. MJ has been brilliant in business. And people are always worried about his salary with the Bulls. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, MJ's not making any money. These other guys. Don't worry. MJ's going to get paid because MJ was smart. Well, it still is smart.
There was one thing I heard that the reason why MJ never paid any of his own players because he always felt slighted that he was never paid well.
No, because MJ was going to flip it for billions. He didn't care. MJ plays golf every day. You think he was really grinding the basketball lifestyle? He is an addict. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of addict and drugs, but he is an addict. Anything that you hear about what he does it like he plays 36 holes of golf every day. He smokes cigars all day long. He, like everything you hear, it's that of an addict, right? It's just luckily his thing is not hardcore narcotics. But you think he was grinding the basketball lifestyle? He plays 30. He tells you, what's that? The cigar magazine, Aficionado or whatever it is.
I don't know.
The cigar magazine. He told them he plays 36 holes. He lives on Jack at the Bear Club. He plays like every day. He's addicted to golf. Plays every day. You think he's grinding the draft? You think he's grinding free agency? MJ's not, and now he's going to flip his team for $3 billion. Wow. What'd he pay for?
I thought he only bought him for like $275 million.
You pay $275 million and flip something for $3 billion?
Jordan pays about in 2010. He paid about $180 million to take majority ownership of the Bobcats.
So he basically paid what Fisher paid for the A's.
The team he bought in 2010 for about $275 million.
He what?
It says right here, Michael Jordan plans to keep a minority stake in the Hornets, a team he bought in 2010 for $275 million.
What was the 180?
That's just Jordan pays about $180 to take majority ownership of the Bobcats. It gives them about 65% of the team's equity, but the NBA.com saying $275.
All right, whatever he paid for it, he's flipping it and he's making a ton of cash.
CNBC is also saying $275.
So he didn't care.
Yeah, well, we'll see if Charlotte does anything with the new owner. Not that anyone cares about
but he
the
didn't
Bobcats.
Care. So
Hornets, not the Bobcats.
So probably Michael Jordan, a basketball player, is probably going to walk out of this with the wealth of over $5 billion. if you count his, and he's still making all the money with Nike. But whatever I saw, he's made like 1.8 or 1.9 billion off Nike. You now throw in this. I mean, when it's all said and done, Michael Jordan's going to be walking out of basketball as a businessman with $5 billion.
Not bad.
How many playoffs did he win?
He won 6 titles.
No.
Oh, as a player. As an owner, none.
Yeah, none. And no one came down his road. How about that? Look how we go after everybody else, but we wouldn't go after him. Certain people will go after, but we won't go after him. I'm with you, MJ. Good for you. I mean, do you know that Nike sells multiple versions of Jordan golf shoes?
I had no idea.
I mean, the guy hasn't played in years, and you still have the Michael Jordan. You see it on football jerseys, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys. It's amazing. They have a whole golf line around Michael Jordan.
They just made a movie about him.
Nike's not even a golf company. They stopped doing golf. They don't make clubs. They don't make balls, but they still make They make Nike shoes. Nike, you see it on the golfers. You see the clothing, but they got a whole thing for Jordan. Golf gloves, golf shoes, golf shirts. Unbelievable. Good for you, MJ. When are we done?
A couple more minutes. About 3.
There's some things I didn't get to today.
I know. We didn't get a chance to play the game we were going to do. We'll have to save that.
Okay.
It's an everyday thing. It's like Wordle, but for baseball is what it is. It's with the concept. There's a new grid every day. It's like the concept of Wordle. There's a new word every day. It's the same thing.
Okay. I get that. But this is more like your game is more a game of, hey, do you remember when?
Kind of, yes. Or just baseball knowledge, I guess.
No, it's just knowing
players'
teams.
Yeah, and seasons.
Yeah. It's not Wordle is you're guessing a word every day.
Yeah, it's like the concept of a new thing each day.
I mean, it's not like okay, do I know how good this guy is? You're just it's you can show him. You want to show him?
Yeah, I'll share the screen.
So basically, it's a game of you got to know where players play.
Yeah. So let me.
So I wouldn't necessarily say we'd be testing people's knowledge of the game. You're just guessing where people played.
So here you go. Name an Oriole closer that had 40+ saves in a year.
Jim Johnson.
That's exactly who I was thinking. Let's see. Jim, you type in Jim Johnson. You get 9 guesses because there's 9 blocks. Jim Johnson's correct. So there you go.
Now, I wouldn't say that's great baseball knowledge.
17% of people have guessed Jim Johnson.
Okay. How did you know that?
It says right there.
I know it's but where'd you come up with that equation? Who's
it's just I think the app's doing it.
Oh, so this is off an app. Okay.
It's a website. It's called Immaculate Grid, immaculategrid.com, and it's a new one each day. Okay, so I'll do it right now. Pirates closer, 40 saves. I'll say the great Mike Williams from when I was a kid.
Where's my man Kenta Colby? No, I know he never did it.
See Mike Williams. 2% of people guess. A lot of people probably going with Mark Melancon.
Mark Melancon ever have 40 for the Pirates?
Yeah. Can you name a Mariners closer?
They've got quite a few.
Yeah.
Suzuki.
We could try it. I don't know if he got. Or was it Sasaki? Wasn't it Kaz?
Sasaki or Suzuki?
Let's see. It was right around Ichiro's time.
I would say he
is. Kazuhiro Sasaki.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boom! I'm 2 for 2.
The other guy I was thinking was Edwin Diaz.
What about Norm Charlton?
Okay, so and then the concept of this is name a guy to play for both the Orioles and the Cubs.
Orioles and Cubs. See, that's something I'd have to really think about. Off the top of my head, I don't know.
We'll go Trey Mancini.
Because you got to remember, too, what makes this kind of bogus is that doing something like this is player movement is something that's more new than it was years ago.
Oh, yeah. And then this one, Orioles, Rangers, I'll go Chris Davis. The other Chris Davis. So that's the concept. Essentially what it is. Every day it's the same thing.
So we're just going to guess every day who played for the Pirates and the Cubs.
Well, they changed the team, so yes. Well, yeah, I think Ray Jensen actually signed
I
this.
like the other. I like who had 40 say.
Yeah,
who have
the other one was
just the who played for what, how many teams.
One of them I saw was
because then this is like who's got the best knowledge of rando players that played for multiple teams. Because really, on the if you're a good player, you normally don't play for that many teams.
Yes, I'm going to go Aramis Ramirez, Pirate Cub.
See, if I'm playing the Aramis Ramirez game.
Pirate Ranger, I'll go Gary Matthews.
Clearly, we have somebody who really likes this. This is something you're interested in. Cody's got a game.
Hey, Ray Jensen sent it to me. So, essentially, one the other day was name a Gold Glover who had 100 RBIs in a season.
Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, or Barry Bonds.
You can do a ton of them.
Yeah. And then it was one of them like Gold Glove.
Mark McGuire.
One of them was Gold Glove pitcher, or it was like Gold Glover for the Braves. And I went
Greg Maddux.
I went Greg Maddux.
How many did you win with them?
A lot.
Well, he did win some with the Cubs, so he won like 16. See, that would interest me.
So we'll see what it is tomorrow.
If you could give me that kind of stuff, like those kind of questions, that interests me. Just saying who played for what doesn't do much for me. But if you're throwing in the, hey, Gold Glove, MVP, da-da-da-da-da, that interests me. Can you make that happen?
Well, I'm not in control of this, but I'll send you the one from tomorrow when I get it tomorrow or when I look it up in the morning.
All right.
We can see, and then we could try it again on Friday if we like it.
Had fun today on the show. Kylie McDaniel from the Baseball Combine. Mark Shelton, who covers the Reds for MLB.com. They won again today.
It's 11.
Haven't won 12 since
1957.
See, he's good.
I remember things.
Bob Nightingale from the USA Today. Coming up next, A's Total Access brought to you by Chevron. Tomorrow's a day game.
Yeah.
So we're not back till Thursday.
Friday.
Tomorrow is Thursday?
Yeah. Friday, Blue Jays, we're going to have...
See, isn't it weird when you have a Monday off? It kind of messes the week up.
Friday, it's Blue Jays, so we'll have Mark Kotze, Eno Saris, and...
Mark Kotze from the Sky Dome. You call it the Rogers Center.
And not Dan Schulman, but we're going to get his son, Ben, who's on the radio call, because I reached out to Dan. He's on vacation. He goes, would you guys like to have Dan, we'll have your son on. You've done so much to help us.
We'll have his son on.
Yeah. So...
Does his son sound like him?
I don't know. I'm going to find out.
Is it like Tony Gwynn and Tony Gwynn Jr.?
Well, that'd be interesting. I have to look up his son, and then I'm going to see if he sounds like him.
All right, A's baseball coming up next. Athletics up against the Guardians. We get you ready on A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. Thank you for listening and watching, everybody. We'll see you on Friday. It's summertime, and I can guarantee you probably need to redo your wardrobe. You want to look good, and you want to feel comfortable. This is Chris Townsend, and you got to go.